why are you going live so late? Oh, because it's here. The thread is here. So I don't know if I'm going to keep this live up. I just did, there was like a collaborative reading with Patrick over at Ryokaruk. And what I'm stating is he was live and started to unpack something, and I noticed that there was a thread for me there. And so I hopped offline, did a reading for an hour. With how long it takes my Wi-Fi to upload it, I don't know if it's going to be up in enough time. So what I'm doing is I'm going to unpack a little bit of what that reading was and see where it goes, because it tied to Luna. So essentially, the way this reading was working out was I had a situation that occurred a little while ago, and it was a revelation of what had occurred, and it had to trigger off with a solar flash. So this solar flash occurred. I'm gonna just like roughly discuss what occurred. Hi, Holly. So cool, people transferred over, which is fun. There was a solar flash that occurred. So essentially what the reading was discussing was about divine royalty. And what had occurred with this solar flash frequency was it came through and it disrupted our version of home, which was very much so speaking about, lately I've been talking about with Capricorn showing up with spiritual abundance. Like, a lot of the Capricorn readings that I've been discussing have been talking about spiritual abundance rather than a physical abundance. And so there was something about our home being, it's like material focus switched into that of an energetic focus. And so there was some sort of disruption, and what occurred was there was a solar flash that occurred. Okay, so here, I'm going to break this down here the best I can. There was some weaving that was going on. And essentially what was going on is basically if we could see two different threads or two different narratives, when they cross paths, each time they cross paths, it creates this braid. And then when you start to separate the narratives or pull them apart, it actually tightened the braid. It was almost like a binding of pathways that was occurring. And this weave, we can see it as two-strand DNA, actually, in regards to royalty and the royal bloodline. So what was occurring was there was this, almost this cosmic weaving that was broken through by the sun. And the sun actually acted as a flare that shot out a sonic boom that ripped time and space and broke out a construct, created an opening for Luna to arrive. There was, it's like the sunshine, it's almost like polarities were out of balance in the universal expression. There was a lot of sunshine stuff. And so basically all the solar frequency was creating things were out of balance, because basically with Luna, we could look at the lunatic, lunacy, sin, okay, and how we've had all of this chaos tied to Luna. And the sun kind of came through and ripped time and space, broke it apart to bring in this lunar frequency. And this lunar frequency is finally bringing in a lot of love and compassion, because it was talking about the warrior heart. So Luna itself was coming in and activating what the lunar heart was, because there was always a lot of distortion with the lunar lines. This created a staff opening that was going up through the dimensions that broke through to reconnect us back to our origins. So essentially, if we could see that we had floors of separation that are dimensional bandwidths that were was kind of blocking this connection to the stars, because we have intermediaries on each floor. Okay, so let's say that, I'm going to draw this out now. So let's say that we have a connection point to our stars, to the cosmic orchestration or the cosmic alignment. What essentially was occurring was that us as the human who have experiences of separation through density and through dimensions, each floor holds an intermediary, right? So we can see this as a fourth dimensional construct holds all of the potato gallery in the fourth dimension, all of your guides. Fifth dimension has its own gallery. Sixth dimension has its own gallery, all the way up the chain, all the way up to the stars. Essentially what had happened was this solar flare knocked a split through the dimensions that was bringing Luna straight down. We were finally able to anchor this lunar or silver tone in through the channel. And the channel actually itself created a fracture through the dimensions that helped us to reconnect back to our origins, because there was intermediaries that were taking place that was blocking our true cosmic connection. So if we see our channel going straight up, it's almost like each dimensional floor had intermediaries of guides that were messengers from source, and each one had a different frequency or tonality or reverberation. And essentially this solar frequency disrupted this thread or this fabric to create this connection straight back to the cosmos. And lately I've been hearing 7D in dream time, because the way the currents were working was there was a fifth to sixth dimensional jump. Okay, so here's what I'm using the dimensions because this is the way it kind of came through. I don't normally play with the dimensions like this, but it's almost like the fifth dimension still held, the anchoring of the fifth dimension still held a materialistic frequency in regards to our abundance and in regards to finances, or just in regards to energy in general. This sixth dimensional jump created a frequency of us now belonging to the divine royalty, which is essentially our connection to the cosmos. Because there was something with the royal lines that was coming through. And what was coming through was that the royal lines got disrupted by, like, the sun flashed a flare that broke down the human royalty lines and created a gap for Luna to come in to reestablish our connection to our divine royalty. It's almost like the sun broke through a level of our two-strand DNA, our molecular structure, to begin unraveling what divine royalty is. And our divine royalty is our connection point to the cosmos. And now that I'm hearing all this seventh dimensional work, I'm seeing the access points are going straight to the planetary ascension. It's going straight to the planetary system and the planetary alignment and the cosmic alignment and finding royalty within that. And as a result, we're seeing, even myself, I'm seeing my association with the planets evolving. So it's almost like at the seventh dimension is when we begin to see the transformation of the planetary system. And we were just talking about Saturn on Patrick's Live, how even Saturn itself is getting its respect back. I've even seen the shadow side of Jupiter, which is interesting lately, which normally Jupiter to me was always on the light side. So it's very interesting. So anyways, we have this breakthrough frequency that Luna's been bringing in to connect us straight back to the stars. And there's also a discussion, so there's been some keys that I'm putting together from this live stream. And I'm just going to write them down because I don't know how they weave into this, but we're just going to unlock and see where it goes. And I don't know if I'm going to keep this up or not, but it's just like I'm following the thread. Sometimes you just kind of like, you get the unlocking point and then you just go for it. Hey, Patty. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it, Patty. Thank you for being here. So it has to do with Luna itself gifting us a connection back to our divine royalty, which is our connection to the stars, straight to the planetary cycle. And whatever constructs we've been encountering, they've been creating limitations in our own reality, and we're expanding beyond it. All right, buddy. Love you, buddy. Go for the break, buddy. I'll take night shift. So there is something that we're receiving back from the cosmos now, like straight from the stars. And so whether it's soul fractals or soul pieces, we're getting aspects of ourselves back. Because the gift that was coming through in the last reading, and I will post it. It might take a couple days to post because of my Wi-Fi. The gift that was coming back was the soul. Like all of us. It was a completion phase of the soul's, like, of integrating the soul aspects. And it was the call. It was the rise of the warrior within Gaia. So it was Gaia's warrior rising. And it's like, it was almost this essence of our, like, we don't have to be the warrior anymore. We stand as the love, as the new Phoenix energy, and allowing Gaia to be that warrior, which is very much so, it was an interesting turn in the revelation of what was coming through. So I think we're going to start out with Radiant Tarot and see what's going on with this lunar thread, because Luna's expanding. I've done a couple readings and I haven't been able to post them about lunar. There was a lunar key, there was a 13 code that was unlocked within us, and it was a what we call, it was coming through as a Christ code. Because once again, Luna was always seen, for myself at least, as a perception of the underworld. This ties into, you know, the evolution of Lilith, how we're seeing our own shadow, which Patrick was just talking about. And I've been noticing it in my own life, is that like Luna is almost gifting us a chance to bring peace back to our shadow. But there was also a breakthrough moment of a connection back to the cosmos, and this like coexistence that's occurring between light and shadow. And shadow's not being shown as unconsciousness. Like shadow is a place of belonging as a peaceful place. So anyways, we're just gonna follow the right when I start shuffling, Luna at the bottom of the deck. So we have Luna here. So Luna is in an expression right now and is bringing through the silver lining. So yes, Luna did. And there were some Luna jump points that occurred. And it had to do with the mansions of the Seraphim. So the Seraphim are called the 20, I think it was the 27 Seraphim lie within the 27 mansions of Luna. So it's almost like the Seraphim were given back, the Seraphim got Luna back. That's the way I was interpreting it, because it was working with Adriel, I believe. Adriel or Azrael, as being one of the owners of the mansions of Luna. And so a part of that is I feel like the Seraphim, which are the highest angelics got the moon back. And that's now gifting us an opportunity to have our connection back to Luna, because Luna itself had so much distortion. And I know people are still, it was coming up in the Capricorn reading the other day that a lot of people are still fearing Luna and Luna C. But actually Luna's been providing a lot of warmth and depth in my life, just as the sun has been as well. So we're going to follow Luna because Luna's here. And it's interesting because you see how in the boat here, there's the thread. Like Luna's now kind of taking us to sea, to have a new... It's interesting. It's taking us to sea, S-E-A, but it's taking us to sea. Luna is almost gifting us sight beyond the veil. So Luna herself is shifting and changing, and she's providing a gift, especially to those in the priestess tone. Okay? So let's go through and see what wants to come through from Luna. Yeah, Luna, 5 of Swords. So here we have that block frequency again. This is that in between. 5 of Swords is that moment where it's almost the lockdown frequency. Okay, because it's a transition point. So it's like when you're about to pass through a room, it's like it's a moment of stalemate that's occurring, because you see the crowns here. This is being blocked from the crown. Now this isn't, so this could be that we were speaking of crown chakra. This could be about who we are in regards to our divine inheritance. And what's interesting is with 2 of Wands, it's also that which is blocking the sun. But see, I'm also getting an X marks the spot frequency with the sun. Like the sun itself has a key code in this evolution of Luna. X is also speaking of, this is taking to a rune. What rune is X? Let me see if I have my Odin deck. Because I haven't whipped out the runes in a while. But I'm being taken to the runes. Because it is a part of it. There's Soul, which is funny. Is it Jira? I don't know if it's Jira. No, Jira is the double X, right? Either, oh, it's Gift. Gift, which is gift. I think gift is gift. Partnership, marriage. So it's the sun and the moon getting married. This is the union of the solar and the lunar. Yeah, with every rebirth, there's a crowning moment. Thank you for that. Yeah, a part of the cross-through point was a standstill because there is a merger with the sun and the moon, which was coming into the heart, which was bringing something up for us in the heart space. Like, there was a new love. Like, it's like, I feel like Luna and the sun came in and merged in the heart and unlocked the heart of the warrior. Oh my gosh, here we go. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Swords with the crown, right there. That's the divine royalty. That's the truth will set you free. Is that we're speaking about polarities and how they coexist. Right? So there is a little bit of a feeling held captive by one or the other. So if you've been supercharged in the solar frequencies and you felt stuck, it's because you needed the lunar frequencies to unlock. If you felt like you've been too in lunar frequencies, you need this. It's like a part of the freedom is both of these structures working together in union. And that would be Two of Wands, which is a creative blend. That's the cross thread. That's the weaving. That's that the sun and the moon take the sky in equal proportions and they work together. Right? So it's the equivalent of this braid, about how their frequency works with us in creating the cosmic architecture that we're weaving. But it is about balance. It's really much so a message about balance, which is interesting because this very much so came from the energies of polarity and swaying too much into one frequency, being too much in the light or too much in the shadow, and how both parts equal and measure up. Yes, also gives the blue blood light integration, and that's what was coming up, was the royal lines, was that there was a shattering of the material illusion, and a profound effect of this was a return to the energetic abundance. And so many right now are losing materials because materials themselves are bringing, it's like if you swayed into one polarity or the other, the materials itself, if you were disconnected from the energy, the loss of material created an abundant gain in energetics. And those that have been on the other way, it's like the polarities are shifting, right? So a part of this is that the way that this is working now is the world is changing. So this is almost like a changing of the guard kind of a frequency, but it's also too, it's about understanding energy. It's about understanding the eternal and dissolving the physicality, right? So it is a return to nothingness, but there's a truth that's unlocking from this, and it's the truth that our divine royalty lands within the polarities, because this was going back to the Grail. Because the Grail story was always speaking of, like, I mean, in Hollywood and in media, the Grail story was always speaking of some, like, material, some treasure. But it was that return to the divine essence and who we are in our creation. Who we are in our creation. Yeah, oxytocin releases that divine love. That's the hug. Like Luna released a hug for us. Yeah, here we go. Ace of Wands. So there's the rising up of our magic. The new pathway. This is also being able to reach new heights. This is that ladder up. This is that ladder up to our connection point. The gift of Luna is actually a return of our connection to the soul. Very much so the connection of our soul. Now, what's going on with this Ten of Swords frequency? This was the split of indecision. Okay. So it's almost like the universe made the choice for us. Because see how the two swords are separated? I'm thinking of the Two of Swords, how the Two of Swords is always the pathway of indecision, not being able to see. And it's like the decision was made for us to collapse this upon us. It feels like an alchemical pressure. And the pressure is a squeeze point that puts that heat and pressure under the coal to create the diamond. So this is an energetic pressure that creates the alchemy. And it's interesting because even myself today, I went on a walk and I was walking and my universe said, we need to make you dense. And I said, why? And I said, to break through. And so it's almost like the universe put pressure down on me, like dark matter came in because it was pushing the density into the body so my body could move through and break through the density, which would provide freedom. There we go. There's the King of Wands. There's being gifted back. This is being able to rise above the game, right? The black and white, the duality. So it's the gift of us as creators, as the Lyrans here, as the Elohim, to rise above the game. It almost has to do with, yeah, and here's the download. Here's the download from the moon. There's the star download that's coming through. It's it's being able to conquer our own game. It's almost like our labyrinth has been eliminated because Luna stepped in and provided a revelation or a clearing for us to rise above what that game is. And this does tie into toxic masculinity, because there was, at the end of Rio's reading, we were talking about the new masculine. Like, he wasn't talking about it, but within the field, I was hearing it, the new masculine rises. And there has been this energy that's been coming up where Gaia is birthing the new masculine. Which is interesting, because now this was a pull down frequency, like we were pulling down the stars. Now this feels like a rise up frequency, like a flourishing of this new star. And we could be looking at the fixed royal stars, which ties into Russell. Russell did something on the fixed royal stars, which was Regulus, I believe, which ties into the Leo frequency, the lion frequency, which we have here. So I'm kind of unlocking a little bit of my own story. So Gaia itself is doing something to the fixed royal stars. Let's go to Mystical Shaman. So what is Gaia? How is Gaia helping the fixed royal stars? Which has to go with blue bloods. It has to go with the royal lines. Breaking down the epigenetic structure of the royal lines to awaken the soul royalty, or what we would call the divine royalty, which actually... we're finding it has very little to do with anything of energetic quality. It has everything to do with our clarity. And here's how I'll share it in this. Let me see if I can find it. Because when I use this deck, when I use the deck that's the Radiant Tarot, the Four of Wands shifted. It shifted. Where is it? Come on. Where'd you go? Four of Wands. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? You're in here somewhere. Where are you, Four of Wands? Here. Oh, no, that's Eight of Wands. Come on. Four of Wands. Was it the Four of Wands? No, this is what it was. This was the solar light breaking. So, it was actually the Eight of Wands that was shown to me, because what I saw was that these were four wands that were broken apart by the sun. Because the original Four of Wands in the Rider-Waite Tarot deck is very much so, when you see it, it's family, it's values, it's castle. And actually, the solar frequency is what shredded or disassembled this version of home and of union and brought us into a solar union, which is the solar royalty. Which is, rather than it being something of material focus, it is something of an energetic focus that is a connection point. It's a reestablishment of our connection to the stars and to the celestial body. Okay, so we've got this now, this restructuring of the fixed stars. So I'm going to go to Mystical Shaman. What wants to come through from Mystical Shaman regarding these fixed royal stars and what Gaia is providing for the new masculine? The moon. There we go. So it is our solar cycle. I feel like for the masculine is getting back its lunar cycle. Because what was going on with myself too is that I started noticing that when I integrated my feminine and I started to really embody my feminine presence, I too had a lunar cycle. Just like females do. Except it's different. Of course, because I'm a guy. But it's almost like Luna itself is giving the royals back their lunar cycle. Which, especially with the new masculines, it means that the new masculines are returning to the feminine, which means that we're returning to the cosmic frequency, and the cosmic frequency is causing a lot within our bodies to shift and to transform. So we ourselves in the masculine energetics are changing because Luna's come in with the feminine frequency. 37 is coming up with the 10. What does that 10 mean to us? So it's like we've been given back the moon, which was an important part of us stabilizing in the divine royalty because we needed that union. Because a lot of this awakening was going solar Christ consciousness. And so we needed the moon. We needed to have the moon back as an important part of us being able to transcend our own game and to rise above the structures of polarity. Because now that this shift has occurred, I've noticed that the worlds, like, we can go operate in the underworld and still be love, just as we can operate in the higher world and still be love. Like, it's almost created a separation frequency, but not where there's no polarity or judgment in either frequency, but we have the ability to go from the underworld to the higher world, right? We have sovereignty in those realms, and that level of sovereignty is what creates a frequency to allow both to belong. Like, the light doesn't have to fight the shadow, and the shadow doesn't have to fight the light. They actually can co-create in separate worlds. They can also work together. So we're seeing that, because even myself, there's been judgment that's been clearing in regards to my lunar magic, because we're seeing it as love. It's a disassembly of the judgment regarding it, because we weren't allowed to have certain access to our magics for obvious reasons, because there was still distortion or polarity in the way. There was still a lot of judgment, collective judgment. And now, as a result, this broke through, and it's bringing up a new frequency for us to embody. Like, we're being gifted back a lot of our magic right now, and that's important for the fixed royal stars, because it is about us returning to our divinity, our state of having everything belong to us in its sacred manner, and witnessing it as sacred. Because, once again, there's been a painted illusion through commodity, community, consumerism, new age movements, that certain access points are not allowed. But now the witnessing of it as being as sacred and as a sacred object, it's being treated as such, we're being gifted it back. It had to be sacred for us to receive it back, because it's a sacred rite. It's a sacred passage. It's a sacred movement. It's a sacred motion. So it had to become sacred to us again. Or we had to create the opening for this sacred object to return. Because the way that the cosmic web was woven, like the way that the architecture was woven in Gaia, the sun had to come pulsate to break through that fabric to bring the purified lunar frequency in, because there was a distortion or a separation almost around Gaia. Like, I almost see like this tapestry that was woven around Gaia, that was, when Luna was shining onto Gaia, there was a distortion that was coming through the field, and that's what was creating the chaos, just like a disruption. So if you see it as a filter point, we weren't getting the purified essence of Luna, because this distortion was actually creating another level of separation. So when Luna's pure frequencies were coming through, it was scattering the frequency, and it was creating disruption for us. And so now we're actually being gifted the purified lunar frequency, which is something that the seraphim was it's like we had to go get that moon back for that reason, because we needed Luna free of the distortion. So whether this was actually like an actual fabric or some sort of architecture that was woven around Gaia, or that's the way it's being shown to me, that's what it's being shown to me. So the sacrifice is coming up. There was something that was out of balance. There was something we had to give up in our own lives. To get a return of this energy, we had to give up something of ourselves. So it wasn't a sacrifice in the distortion. It was us offering up a version of it was something we had to give away to receive this. It was a natural part of the balance, right? So last night I had a guide come through that said, Corey, I'm actually going to sacrifice all your suffering. And I laughed. I cracked up. I was like, oh my gosh, what? I've never heard that. But this huge, being came through and he said, Corey, I'm going to sacrifice your suffering. And I was laughing. I was like, that's beautiful. So it's not in the sense that we're having to like lose something, but there's like an identity or a belief that we had to give up to receive this, which could be seen as the distortion or the lens. What is sacrifice energy for us? What was this sacrifice that we had to let go of? 8 of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. So with the bee and the flower here, it's some sort of pollen. It's some sort of pollen. But it's interesting. Three and five here. Threes and fives. Threes and fives. I'm kind of... The Eight of Pentacles is almost coming through as a stopping point. Like the thread ends there without clarity. Does it have to do with money? It doesn't feel like it has to do with money. But it could be. Two of Cups. We had to give up some form of love. It almost feels like with the bees, I'm thinking of honey and pollination, which speaks of abundance. It's almost like we had to give up our love of money or our love of materials, which would incorporate a mortal wound. It's almost like we had to let go of a mortal wound, because for myself, this occurred to me. This was the frequency that had something occurred with that frequency. Let's just say that. I don't need to go into the story anymore because it doesn't exist. But it had to do with a health issue I had, and I was faced with my mortality. And that's why I'm saying it, is because it feels like it's like almost like a love of materials or a love of success that had to leave. It had to depart because we had to bring in this lunar frequency. Because once again, for us to access what it means to be that divine royalty, we had to lose the physical matter. We had to detach from the physical matter to belong back to the eternal. So we had to come back to the eternal state to reconnect back to the cosmos. Finding a love for the cosmos again, finding a love for the moon, that's the union frequency. We had to lose the old union, because it wasn't about us finding a partner in the physical. It was about us getting the moon back. So this whole time, repairing our relationship with Gaia, repairing our relationship to the stars, to the celestial body, is the union that we're looking for. We're not looking for a human union. The union that we've all been calling for and waiting for is us being able to have our soul back, which is what true union is. But it was in our connections to the celestial bodies. Because there's been so much incorporation of like Pleiades, Orion, Arcturus, right? We see it with the star seeds. Everyone's talking about the galactics, but Luna's been left out of the picture. Because Luna itself always created some sort of corrupted timeline, or there was a distortion, or there was a lunar war, or the moon's not real, right? Think of all of the threads of Luna that come up, right, amongst the spiritual community. And so we were gifted back what Luna means to us. Regardless of what's happening on the moon and whatever your belief system is, we were gifted back Luna, which is the silver ray. And it's almost like the silver ray is what came down and broke through the dimensions. It came into our body, and that's what brought us forward. Yeah, the beekeepers. Yeah, I know where you're going with this, Holly, because I'm hearing some stuff in the field regarding the beekeepers. But the beekeepers are important, because this ties to the honeycomb gate, and there's a honeycomb gate in the Pleiades that ties into the Pleiades, which would be the seven sisters. But we have an eighth pentacle here, so we have a sister missing. Luna itself is giving us another. This has been happening a lot with the clusters. We're seeing an evolution of the storyline. It's almost like we're missing an element from Pleiades, which is interesting because this ties into a reading, some stuff that was going on with another community I'm talking to, which was about masculine energy belonging in the Pleiades system, which was Atlas. So this is a return of a masculine frequency. It's almost like a return of the masculine moon. The men needed the moon. The men, the masculine energetics, needed the moon back, because that's what was carrying a lot of the distortion. And so here's Nine of Cups that's at the bottom of the deck here. And this takes me over to Russell's reading from today, which I wasn't in. But Russell was talking about the expansion of Jupiter in Pisces. So either way now, we're getting some sort of truth or clarity back from that lunar masculine frequency. Yeah, there we go. There's King of Pentacles. That's the missing pentacle, which is the rise. It's the rise of the royal lions here. Royal lions, I almost wanted to say. But what's interesting is the lion and the deer normally don't get along. Because now we're looking at in the terms of, because there was a lot of lion frequency here. And so what's fascinating about this is that normally lions and deer don't get along because the lion is usually the predator and the deer being the prey. But there is an awakening here within this. A return of this pentacle is the return of our royalty right there. That's the king showing up. What it is to be a real king. But it's not, once again, it's not in this is not reconstructing. I have to preface this. We're not reconstructing an old pathway. We're not doing that. We're actually creating what this actually is for ourselves. But we had to get this frequency back. But there is some sort of royal code that came through, and it's soul royalty. It's back to the Elohim. Which the Elohim is the access to our true creator potential. The Elohim is the creator of universes. And so us returning back and stabilizing this lunar frequency is a rise of a new masculine, and it's almost like Father Gaia. Okay? So the thing about the thing about solar logos is that if there is, so solar logos broke apart into polarity, masculine and feminine. So if there is father-son, there should be a mother-son somewhere. Just as if there's Mama Gaia, there should be a Father Gaia. So what we're getting access points to is what this Father Gaia frequency. Which would make sense tying into the reading that I did earlier that I'm posting, is that it was that Gaia is now the warrior. So I wonder if we actually woke up Father Gaia. Whatever Father Gaia is. And that's been something where the question has come through for about a year and a half for me. Where I was like, well, if solar logos split, okay, so solar logos, the union of the whole, the one, split off into the different ray groups and created the masculine and feminine frequency. If there is Mama Gaia, there's got to be Father Gaia. So who is Father Gaia to us? Interesting with Mars. Because with Gaia, there's also Uranus. Gaia, Uranus. But there's also another part in this tale. There's more of like, I feel like there's an aspect of us that we are retrieving through this that has to do with Father Earth. Which I know might rub people the wrong way, but if we're putting the pieces back together of the puzzle of Source, of Solar Logos, and of Soul, it would make sense that we would need a father frequency to bring that into balance. Just like if we're all sun and all solar flash and all solar flares, and Luna's been left out of the picture, and a part of the universal balance is that we needed Luna to bring that cosmic cycle into balance. So if Gaia's all mama, then where's the father frequency on Gaia? You see what I mean? Because a part of the expansion and the integration of the universe is that we need those polarities to exist. So where is Father Earth in this frequency? Or I don't like Father Earth, but Father Gaia. Because now we're going to Father Earth. But if Father Gaia is here, who is Father Gaia to us? Because it's an important part of this union. Who is Father Gaia to us? Three of Cups. I feel like this is something that's going to come from multiple people. This is a key code that can't be unlocked by one person. It's got to be done by all, by more than one person. This is a collective arrangement for us to discover what Father Gaia is. Because Three of Cups is always the union, but it's also, we're speaking of, there's the Trinity pattern again. There's the Trinitization. But it's Trinity water. So is this now coming back to what the water frequency brings forward for us? It is in the realm of emotion, yes, I get that. But with the Three of Cups, this is going to take... Where are those three waters? I'm almost being taken to the Bermuda Triangle right now. And the Bermuda Triangle would actually speak of something that's been lost through a time slip. No, Corey, you're not traveling through the Bermuda Triangle tonight. No, you're not. I know you're crazy, but you're not doing that. I'm being taken to something off the Florida coast, though. There's a key code over in... Yeah, that would have to do with Atlantis. There's an Atlantis... There's something tied to Atlantis that we need to retrieve Father Gaia. No, I'm not going through the Bermuda Triangle. I'm not jumping there. There is something with this. It's interesting, yeah. So someone just said astrology. This is a gate, though. This is the gate, and it might have to do with the Orion gate. Because I'm seeing the Three Pentacles, I'm seeing the Three Cups. That would be an Orion gate. But there is something connecting to... Oh, right there, Three of Pentacles. Okay. Just dropped out. Yeah, we've got all these threes here. So we're looking at something trinitized in our being, but we're looking at that... For me, that's taking me to Atlantis. Corey, don't throw up corrupted timelines. I'm not. We're unpacking things. And these cards might just stop there because it might just mean that we need to stop there for a second. Yeah, we have to wait for the next puzzle piece. Because now that I'm seeing gift, it's now showing me we need to stop right there with that. And we need to set that aside. Because there's something coming through from Father Gaia. And we don't know quite what it is, but we're going to unlock it, obviously. And I feel like it has to do with this Jupiter expansion that's in all this Jupiter stuff that's clearing. I'm being shown this, and I feel like we have to now hand that off because Russell's going to pick it up. So it's interesting because Patrick had a key. I stepped on, and we've got one more cup. And I'm seeing that this reading, for some reason, might unlock something for us. So we're going to leave that there. I'm not going to hop off yet, though, because I'm still up. We're in lunar frequency. So maybe we'll just go into other story times. Maybe we'll just go into more stories. More stories with Corey, because I like doing story time. I did that story time one time, and it was really fun. I'm still awake. I slept for a while earlier, though. We're going to keep working with Radiant, though. Sungata. So we're going to work with Radiant. What wants to come through? Let's see what other messages want to come through. Maybe we should get out... I know, I need an astrology deck. I really do need an astrology book of some kind. Got Moonology, but Moonology isn't enough right now. Should we play with Mystical Martian? Let's play with Mystical Martian. The Mystic Martian. I'm feeling silly. So we're going to do Mystic Martian. Yeah, we're just following the breadcrumbs. I don't often follow the breadcrumbs, but there's sometimes Patrick's onto something, and it resonates with me, and then I'm like, I need to go follow this thread. It's like, we just follow the thread, and we keep going. But we're going to play with Mystical Martian, because this is a really fun deck. So let's see what story wants to come up, because this is all, like, the Galactics. And so we've got, like, Andromedans, Pleiadians, different groups, and different element structures. So we're just going to follow the story of Mystic Martian and see what wants to come through for fun. But it does feel like it's a serious alignment. We're not just like creating made up fairy tale stuff or weird stuff. Like we're gonna actually unlock some stuff right now. Yep. And Holly, that's been the pass-through point. Remember when he was talking about the panther? So I was shown, because I've had this panther energy show up, and it shows up with a frequency of what it wants to show you right here, but it's almost like it will show up as a tarot card, and behind it is actually the movement of that frequency. So it is something that is passing through, which was, I was tying Panther to Luna, is almost Luna had to be under disguise to pass through, to break through, to bring this forward. Yeah, Holly's on it. Yeah, so let's see what wants to come through, because, oh my gosh. Kabbalah Tree of Life at the bottom of the deck. There's the Tree of Sephiroth. Alright, so what wants to come through? What stories are we unlocking today? What wants to come through? I've never used this deck, so let's see. This is a brand new deck. Third Eye. Visions manifesting. Are we going into Eye Witch right now? Alright, we're going into Eye Witch territory. Thank you, Patrick. I love you. Thank you, Reem. I love you. We're going into the Eye Witch. Okay. I haven't done one of these Eye Witches in a long time. Oh, hi, Bastet. Here comes Bastet. This is hilarious. We're going into Eye Witch territory. And then look at the bottom of the deck. Alchemy. Alright. What wants to come through for the Eye Witch? I can't use the Radiant Tarot. It's a little too light. If we're doing Eye Witch, I think we have to go into the Wild Unknown. I think we do. Yeah, we're doing a Voices from the Void with the Eye Witch. Anytime I have to do the Eye Witch, I have to go into Voices of the Void. Right, Holly? Holly knows about the spray bottle. Holly knows about the spray bottle. Let me see if my phone's actually charging. I know, I'm grateful here. I'm grateful you guys are here too. I haven't done this in a while. Oh, that's why. I know we have to be conscious of what we're saying on. My guides are coming through. They're like, you have to be conscious of what you're stating because you're speaking spells into existence. I know. So we're going Voices of the Void. Imagine there's no heaven. Eye Witch. Eye Witch. So since we're here in the lunar frequency, we're doing Eye Witch magic here. We're going to unlock some Third Eye stuff. Working with the Diamond Eye of Ra. Ooh. And it just started raining too. It's interesting how Holly said a gulp of water because it's raining. So, Eye Witch medicine. We're returning to the Eye Witch. What's going on with the Eye Witch? Oh. Apocalypsis, which is the awakening. So it is an initiation. Apocalypsis 215. So we are looking at an initiation frequency here, back into the Eye Witch, which is another realm, which is back to the Five of Swords, which is that in between. It's the transition point. So this is a room. It is an initiation. Apocalypsis indicates a particularly painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche in seemingly opposing directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how relieving it is to witness them come into the light, an element of despair and grief follows. The second dynamic is the regeneration that comes from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The old narrative breaks and a new story forms. Apocalypsis energy is similar to a forest fire's devastation for the sake of regeneration. The veil lifts and we see who and what have been hiding from the nakedness of the truth. A child is born. Have faith in the process. Hold on to your center. That is the only way. So we're looking at Phoenix, which is funny because I wrote down Phoenix as a key code. So we're actually looking at, okay, remember when I was, remember earlier when I was talking about the threads that weave? And as we tug on these threads, we're actually tightening the bond of that thread. So it's like the separation that's unfolding is actually weaving a cosmic thread. But with Apocalypsis, I'm being drawn to the new Phoenix, which is the fire and water energy. Yeah, pull on your ruby shoes, kids. We're going into liftoff zone. So it's interesting because there's been a new Phoenix energy that's been arising. And that's what the Eye Witch is doing. It's a revelation. And this was me, the Crucible. So when we're working with Grandfather Fire, right? So I was working with Grandfather Fire in a sacred ceremony. We don't douse the flames. We don't include another element. So we don't use the elements against each other, okay? So for instance, with candles, we don't blow out the flame because we don't want air to disrupt fire to put out the flame. We want every element as a part of the creation, especially with alchemy here, okay? So what had occurred, though, was that I was doing a sacred ceremony with the fire, and I was tuned into the energy of the fire, and my neighbor had to put out the flames with water because we were about to go inside. We were about to be done with the ritual, and we couldn't keep the fire burning because of our RV park, right? So she brought in water, and what happened was I felt, as I was tuned into the energy of the flames, and the flames were within me, when she doused the water in, it created a hardening. So what I'm stating is this. It was that, basically, it was stated by her, and this is what took me into this portal, this passageway of alchemy in my own life, of what the Crucible was that the logs of the fire, right, when doused with water, created coal. Okay, so we're seeing an alchemical breakdown of wood. Adding fire to earth element, dousing with water created coal. Now, when you take that coal and you put it under enough heat and pressure, it creates the diamond, correct? When we're speaking of alchemy. But what was interesting was that we could also take that same coal and filter the water, right? So there was this symbiosis that was occurring where here's fire, the element of fire, in invoking a revelation within us and working with Grandfather Fire. When we add the water was creating the charcoal. And this new coal actually could be used to filter the water. So there was a symbiosis in alchemy that was occurring that was creating a revelation of what was told to me as this new Phoenix energy. This new Phoenix energy is fire and water working together, basically, harmoniously for alchemy. So I've never seen a water phoenix, because normally the fire phoenix dissolves. So the phoenix burns to pure ash and then rises up again. But there is this fire-water phoenix energy, a blending of the two that's creating this new phoenix. And I've never ever seen a symbiotic relationship between fire and water. But we can also see this same symbiosis that occurs with the sun and the moon, tying back to that. So the symbiosis, it's normally those elements cancel out one another, but for some reason they're now working together, just like the sun and the moon never used to work together. Now they're working together. So we're looking at a symbiotic relationship between elements that used to cancel each other out, which is creating a new revelation or a new creation, which could create a new neural network, which builds a new thought, which builds a new reality. Steam Phoenix, exactly. Steam Phoenix. it's like the energies are working symbiotically now, and that's what's really fascinating to me. It's the symbiosis and the relationship between fire and water, which is also how we are relating to one another. Has anyone else noticed that the relations are changing, especially with Venus going on right now? Like the way you relate to people's changing? It's either creating a bigger gap or a closer connection back to the thread. So there's something in the symbiosis of those elements that's also, we're now, as we're relating to the elements differently, we're also relating to one another differently. And as we're relating to one another differently, we're creating new connections, which is new neural networks, which is creating new realities. Sorry. I'm not sorry. This is fun. This is the stuff I love. All right. So we're in the, what is this apocalypsis energy bringing forward for us? Actually, we're going to go back here because we are in an initiation. We're in a deconstruction and a reconstruction with a new truth. Back to here, the neural rewrites. And you see how it's in the shape of a heart? It's almost like a new heart-mind connection or a new neural pathway that's helping us to peer beyond the veil. A belief system was unlocked and recovered for ourselves and created a new belief system, which created a new reality, which created a new perception, which created a new depth, which created... I'm hearing, hang on, we're going there. Right? So the new neural network created the new eyes to see. Here's that trinity again. Remember? Mind, body, soul. There's a new harmonization here. And I love how wrecked this guy looks. He's like, yeah, we're getting something, we're receiving something new from the symbiosis of the elements, which is the Philosopher's Stone. Infinity, destiny, magic. So there is something unlocking with us. Okay, the Father. Here's the dimensions and coloring in the lines. So the Father, the Mentor, and the Shadow. Here's the Owl. Weren't we just talking about the Owl? So the Owl is showing us something about the Shadow and the Father. So once again, Father Earth, the Mentor, and the Shadow. There's something we're learning. This to me is almost speaking of a Vesica Pisces. Right? But it's like, it's the diamond version of that. So it's about how our filters, this is the lens frequency. This is the eye witch frequency. This is about taking two perspectives and meeting them together, two of wands energy to create a new focus. So what we're highlighting in our reality is the new governing system, which is about perception. That actually the rule of the reality is the perception of such. The rule of reality is the belief. Whether you see things as bright, because this is perspective, right? The lens. Cup half empty, cup half full. As above, so below. And the mentor frequency is coming with the cosmic mentorship here. Because you see with the stars, this is exactly what Rio was just talking about. This is what Patrick was talking about. Is that there's that owl frequency, the cosmic owl. Which he was tying into the owl in the Mystical Shaman deck. Which we might just have to go into Mystical Shaman deck. Let me see if I can show you owl. Because maybe it's time to go into what this owl frequency is. Because he stopped there, so maybe we're picking up with the owl right now. Because see, the owl had this, he was saying this was Mars. So the owl itself is unlocking a cosmic frequency. Like we're getting a new aspect of us that's helping us out. So what is the owl, the mentor, bringing us about the shadow? Because there is a perception. It is about lenses, filters, distortions, clarity of sight that the Phoenix energy is bringing us right now. And the symbiosis between elements, the symbiosis between eyeballs too, the symbiosis between the hemispheres of the brain. Which would be that the left and the right hemisphere are now communicating differently. Ooh. Interesting. I didn't even see this card fall and it's right there. It's showing us something right now about the bloodline. Because there's that lunar frequency again. And it's like really far in the background, but there's almost like this, shh, you're not supposed to talk about this. Oh my gosh. And look what's at the bottom of the deck. The owl. There's something that needs to be freed up from the voice about this. This needs to be spoken of. Because how else do we repair this if we don't talk about it? Because you see, yeah, not everyone can see yet. It's like we're not supposed to discuss about belief systems and perceptions, but it's important for the eyes to see. It's important for the clarity. It's important for our divinity. It's important for our magic to know that our perception is what shapes reality. Okay, so we're looking at 10 of Pentacles. We're looking at or 8 of Pentacles, excuse me. We're looking at a cosmic weaving. But it's almost like a feeling of being stuck in a web. It's got this energy of a foundation or a fortress that's being built that is breaking down, because the spider, that's its home, but it feels like a stuck frequency. We're not seeing a fly here, but I'm just getting this energy of it's something that we need to break through, and it's our own perceptions, it's our own judgments, it's our own limitations. The Chariot, there's the freedom right there. That's the clarion call for freedom. Freedom of sight, freedom of being able to see. And strength. There's the empowerment frequency. The empowerment of our creations, the empowerment of our freedom, empowering freedom to see, empowering freedom to choose. Empowering ourselves, because once again, there's the infinity again, right? Back to the Vesica Pisces energy, right? That we need these webs to be navigated. Like, because we can almost see this as a neural network now. And so we need these hemispheres to work together to open up the eye. We need a symbiotic relationship between elements, just as we need a symbiotic relationship between the hemispheres of the brain, just as we need the symbiotic relationship between the masculine and the feminine, just as we need a symbiotic relationship with our own shadow. Because actually, our shadow is what shows us that which needs to become visible. So if we're looking at visible light spectrum, the shadow is what we would speak of as the unseen. And so a part of the seeing is being able to see the unseen, because now we're able to see our shadow, which gives us an opportunity to be able to... It gives us another opportunity to be able to see differently. Hey, Patrick, we're actually on iWitch. Patrick's like, never mind, I'm done. You guys are going into... We're in iWitch territory, Patrick. Literally, I'm on etheric fire right now, Phoenix. So with the Chariot and Strength, we're looking at Sagittarius and Leo energy. We're looking at fire energy here. So when we were talking about the symbiosis between fire and water in the Phoenix, we have 2 fire signs here. Sagittarius and Leo. So we have Sag and Leo here, but we also have, we're not going to bring in the earth energy. I mean, the earth does ground it in, but I want to highlight the fire frequency here, and what these have to play with us, for us, in unlocking the hemispheres of the brain. Limbic system? I'm hearing limbic system too. There's something with the limbic system that we need to unveil. And I feel like it has to do with the holodeck. So the limbic system itself, okay. So the limbic system is what snapshots the energetic imprint of us, of what we see in material form. So basically, our limbic system has the ability to take the snapshot of the picture of a reality to create the framework or lens or scope or perception tied to that which we see. So the limbic system is kind of like our energetic camera, that when we see something and it occurs, such as a trauma, it flashes in the limbic system, but the limbic system is an important part of our ability to create. And it does have an effect with vision. Because if we have an emotional response, we're looking at the way that our nervous system responds to that which we see. So when our nervous system responds to sight, our body reacts to the reality differently, which actually explains a lot of unconsciousness in our reality. So why is it that I see a certain color, I feel a certain way? Or why is it that when I see a certain symbol, my body has a reaction? Why is it that when I'm in Walmart, I go in with a shopping list and I walk out with everything I don't need because of consumerism? And we're looking at symbolism. We're looking at the effect of the way that our eyes perceive reality and the direct effect it has on our emotions and our ability to create decisions or opportunities in our life. So think about it. Think about if you're working a 9 to 5. Okay? You're working a 9 to 5. You imagine what it would be like without a job, and you immediately get a snapshot. What is the snapshot that you see? Because that's going to affect the decision to be able to leave a job, or to leave a career, or to start a new pathway. Hence why we need the new neural pathways, because the new neural pathways create new opportunity. So with the limbic system, we're looking at there is a harmonization in our brain and how it directly correlates with our nervous system and our emotional body, and how our emotional reality actually is a part of the governing system of our reality. So if we propagate fear, if we throw fear through the collective, such as if you go to the store and you're not wearing something over your face, you will get insert narrative. So as a result, our ability to make decisions is affected because our limbic system is now creating a symbol for that. Okay, so like when you put on something on your face, think about the imprinting that that's going to have for generations to come. Just what's happened in 2 years. Right? So a part of this and why we're introducing new truths into the reality is it's creating a repair. It's creating a repair. Oh, there we go. Voices from the void. I know this is a weary topic. So what we're doing is we're expanding beyond our weariness. Because we've only been able to see with one eye open almost, or 2 eyes open. And now that we're getting the gift of the new lens, we're being gifted to see things, and not everyone wants to see, and I understand that. Not everyone is ready to see this, and that's okay. There's no judgment or fault or wrongdoing. But once again, it's a place that some of us choose consciously to go to. Yes, Holly. The alkaline diet has been important. That's been an effect for me too. Is building the neurons in the gut. And it's interesting because with the 6 of Pentacles, we're looking at the creation of those new pathways, almost each one of them creating a new world. Okay, so you can see every pocket right here is a new world. Like it's a new reality to navigate. So we can almost think as the neural network is creating these pockets of reality for us to navigate through. So opening the neural circuitry is creating new avenues or new worlds or new universes and new realities to align to. But this is also held within the cellular body. But right now we are focused on the mind and how the mind affects the vision. Because there's a lot of discussion of like turn to your heart chakra, things like that, but we're working with the eye here. But we're also speaking of perception, back to the weaves, right? It's like you see how all of these universes are extending out beyond the field. It's almost like what we're doing is we're pulling in these universes into our brain, into our body, and they're gifting us access points or rooms on the journey that each have a different reality or a different key code for us. So we are speaking of DNA stuff, but we're also speaking of pulling in this information into the brain, right? And these pockets are little points for us to weave together. Yeah, there's the new site. This is the reversal. Okay, moon above, sun below. A part of this frequency of the upside down frequency that's been coming through and kind of things being turned on its head, right? 6 cups standing, 1 cup fallen. I'm being taken to the ice here. These mountains have ice on them. So there is something about the freeze frequency, which is ice, which is Isa. Isa is the ego. So we have, here's fire and ice. There's fire and ice. So ice is showing up to the table with Luna. Let's pull up Isa. Let's see if Isa's here. In Odin in the 9 realms. So what's Isa providing us? Which is interesting. Isa's, you see, there's Isa. Isa's the freeze. Isa's the frost. And I feel like that freezing of the ego, like it's almost like the frozen of self and belonging to self, and the freeze point of ice, Isa. Once the ice melts, the fire is melting the ice. And what is it melting? Let's go there. Let's go there. What is it melting? We're going to do Odin in 9 realms. It's melting to create something, which would be soul fire. So this is higher mind consciousness. This is the soul and the mind coming together to create the heart-mind coherence, which would create... So we have... Is it Idun or Idun? Idun. What is Idun bringing us? Idun. There's the apples, which would be the harvest. And we have Hugin and Moonin, which is the messengers. Inner beauty. It's unlocking our inner beauty. Is the goddess and guardian of the sacred apples given to her by the giant. These apples provide gods with eternal life. And it's funny because earlier my universe made me walk 2 miles to the store to get a bottle of apple juice and come home, which is really silly. I know. How does that tie? It ties into this though, because my universe was like, you need to walk 2 miles to the store, get a bottle of apple juice. I got there, I drank half the bottle, I put it in my backpack, and I walked home. And that was my day, doing good work. Without them, they become old and gray, showing that they are mortal. More importantly, Eden holds the key to eternal life in the Aesir. By drawing, back to the Aesir. By drawing this card, Idun indicates that you have the blessing of good health and great inner beauty. She also reminds you that to maintain good health and beauty, you must be diligent in self-care, not only on a physical, but also on a spiritual and emotional level. That's the heart-mind coherence. So for us to be able to negate, if we're focusing everything on heart, but we're not taking care of our mind or our mental body, that's what creates the perception. The death frequency that's occurring at the eye level is gifting us an opportunity to really see the beauty of the mind again. So this whole thing is a really strange rabbit hole frequency to just basically say, love your mind. Love your mind. But there's something important in this though. Because it's like we die to find beauty and dude, I just had so much deja vu just occur. Death and rebirth cycles, that new phoenix energy is we're coming into a new beauty. Because fiery Like, it's like the water is almost adding an emotional value to ourselves. The frequency of water with the fire is adding emotional value. And that emotional value is gifting us the ability to create a new lens. So the beauty that we see within ourselves and in our emotional value, right, coming back to self-value and self-worth, actually creates the intrinsic beauty, which allows us to see a new perception of ourselves, which gives us an opportunity to see a new perception of the reality. Are we seeing things black and gray, or are we seeing things nice and colorful? Yeah, it's the trine. That's the Trinity, mind, body, spirit. Thank you. Yes. So it's interesting because this was mind and spirit. Now, body has been a missing component here. So we were working with two fractals that we're bringing into a lens. So now we have to go into the body. So thank you. Now we got to do a poll on what the body wants to bring through with this. Oh my gosh. Is he going to be done? No. We're on a roll here and we're having fun. And what matters is having fun in what you do. Having fun is what matters here. So really quickly, let me check my... All right. I know. You go. You go. Go get him, Tiger. So we have a body component here, and the body wants to talk. So a part of that I see was that there was the heart and the brain that were coordinating to create this new level of lens regarding emotional value and the perception. Now emotion's still tied to the body, but now the body wants to bring forward a message, I feel like, or there's another message that wants to come through, but I feel like it's body related if we're going to follow this thread. So if we're looking at eye seer here, eye witch medicine, if there's eye witch medicine in belonging to our mental states, the harmonization between our hemispheres, and how that correlates to our perception of reality, what wants to come forward for the body? Right? What wants to come forward for the body? We really have 15 people here, and it's like, what, 1 in the morning for me? 16. Cool. The body. The nectar. The nectar. So the body is the nectar that's coming through. And it wants to provide us the nectar, which is the nutrients. So back to what Holly was talking about. We're going back into the gut, it almost feels like. But this is total body alignment. So in Hindu mythology, there's a miraculous substance known as amrit, or nectar, that contains infinite healing power. This golden nectar, or sacred elixir, is the drink of immortality, and like its sister substance, soma, is known to activate the subtle intelligent forces that ease the mind, body, and spirit. Though esoteric, these images lead us to the central energy of this archetype, the sweet, potent, heavenly essence that lubricates our spirit back to life. The nectar card calls us to identify and relish in places, practices, people, and activities that regenerate and heal. Medicine is needed, and it comes in subtle form that you may be overlooking. Seek the most sensuous, fragrant flower in the garden you have forgotten. Don't underestimate this remedy. It is said when someone has activated the substance within, it is reflected in their shimmering eyes. There's the rose water. And so yes, I've been making elixirs over here. So we've got rose water. But there is something about the nectar coming through with the body, which is the gift of immortality. So remember, we were coming from the mortal to the immortal, or we were coming from the temporal into the eternal. Yeah, Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. Of course. So we have this, we have the eye seer that was providing, the eye witch, the eye medicine, providing the mental focus in connection to energy systems, right? So now the body is providing us a message of immortality, but it was within, once again, this is back to that emotionality, right? Because we're looking at what makes us feel good within the body. Community, activities, things like that. It's about the feel-good frequency, the frequency of joy, which is actually coming back to I'm being drawn back to the alchemy of love, which is a new design. It's not new, it's always existed here, but it's how love transcends everything and what that frequency does to bring forward, how love is the medicine to completely obliterate fear, which is heart medicine. But anyways, I want to see what wants to come through from nectar. This nectar in the body. What wants to come through? Because there is messages that wants to come forward in regards to the body. And there's so much happening with physical ascension systems. And here's what I want to state. Okay, guys? Here's what I want to state, because this was coming through earlier. I've been hearing in the lines what's going on, and there are soul family right now that are getting really sick. I was hearing of people that are throwing up, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, all this stuff is going on. I heard some people had to unsubscribe because or they're thinking of unsubscribing because whatever messages were coming through or whatever is activating within them is getting them sick, and I understand that. And I understand that these activations bring forward a lot for people. And some of them don't feel nice. And that's just kind of a part of being an oracle. It's just bringing forward the messages in their purest form. So I want to preface that. So now we're going to look at the nutrients of the body, because it's important. The body is the holder of the soul essence, as we know, right? It is the container for which the consciousness flows. So caring for the body is important. But there's also a piece that wants to come through, a piece of the puzzle for the body in regards to this. Love for self is zest of life, yeah. Yeah, rose water. Yeah, I made rose water. So I'm actually making rose essence. So what it is you create the mother, okay? So as in the creation of rose essence, you create the mother, which is basically the main ingredient. Ugh. And then you filter it down into what we would call the daughter. So the introduction of brandy with the rose water blended with diluted water as well, I believe. So the mother itself is basically what we call kind of like pure source, and as we fraction it down, we create the daughter, which is the essence. This is energy medicine. So it's not actual physical body health, but it's energy medicine. So I feel like that's where it's going. A little bit is like a little bit of whatever that energy is. Okay. So what wants to come through for the nectar? The nectar, 4 of Wands. This is that home frequency again. But there's the flower. So with the flowers, I wonder if we're talking about flower essences. Or the essence of life, the essence of the plant kingdom. And what the plant kingdom means to us in the body, in unveiling, like seeing beyond the veil. Which would be Gaian focused, but it does tie into the cosmic lines too. As above, so below. But with the 4 of Wands, we're looking at a union with body, which ties into the first part of the reading, which is what that new union was it's the cosmic union. It's almost like our body needs the cosmos. The body needs the cosmos. The Tower and 10 of Swords. Whoa. That's kind of a harsh frequency to come in. That's the Phoenix, though. The Tower is the Phoenix. But it's rising up from the illusion of death, almost. But see, okay, I'm being taken into the card and I'm taking to a symbol. It almost feels like Tower of Babel or Tower of Babylon. But how does this occur with the form? Language. Because swords speak of communication as well. It's not only intellect, but it's communication. And so 10 of Swords, there is some sort of communication pattern ending. And with the Tower of Babel, there's almost like a form of language itself that the body needs to be reconstructed. So we're speaking of language, how we're talking to the body. It's where we've suppressed the body. We're looking at we cannot suppress the body anymore. Because this is a suppression frequency. And once again, the 2 swords are split here, which means that 2 incongruent truths have parted. There is a suppression of body here. Yeah, kindness, exactly. Which is back to the rose essence. We're speaking of love here. So it's being able to communicate the frequency of love, or translate the frequency of love however we can into the form. Which is interesting. We're talking about body talk here. We're basically, in a very roundabout way, talking about body talk. But the Ten of Swords, we've got 8 swords there. 8 swords, 8 separate truths. And I'm actually being shown right now that each limb has a hemisphere associated with it. Okay, so here's what's interesting. We're just going here. This is the way my mind is working. Arms, legs. So we're looking at like a meridian line. It's almost like taking every arm and splitting it into masculine and feminine. Every limb has a meridian line. So we're looking at some sort of split between the limbs. Each one occurring a different truth, which is an extension of our own selves. So it is about how the truth within the form extends out into the field and into our own reality. All of a sudden, a bunch of people left. They're like, okay, you're smoked out, kid. Am I? Page of Swords. Physical ley lines, yes. So we're looking at a coordination point. Thank you. Because here's back to the ley lines. Thank you for mentioning that. We're unpacking this together. Page of Swords, the ley lines. It's how the ley lines exist within our body. Which would go back to the song lines. Because if the song lines are existing within us, the song we sing to our own ley lines have an effect on the ley lines within the grids. So we're actually looking at the songs we sing of the body actually has an effect on Mother Earth. As above, so below frequency. So the nectar of life within the form is the nectar of life for Gaia. So as we are talking to the body, we're also speaking to the grids. As we sing to our own ley lines, we're singing to Gaia's ley lines. So the song, we are the song. We are the song. So if we are the universal song and we're singing that through the body, how does that affect the grids? How does that affect our own meridians? Yes, sound healing. Which I can't sing too loud right now because it's late and my neighbors will. With the Page of Swords, we are the guardians of our own song. We are the guardians of our own heart song. So since we are the guardians, and by the way, this is the new group that we've been creating, which is the Guardians of the Song, is that the song exists within us and it actually reverberates through the extension of the temple into the body. That's the rise of the divine royalty. The divine royalty is being a gatekeeper for Gaia. For being a grid keeper for Gaia. And that the song exists within you. So how do you speak to the song within? Because the song within extends out through Gaia and it also extends out through the dimensions. It extends out to everyone. So this is about a true union. That, remember back to that masculine frequency, the rise of what that new masculine is, that divine royalty? It's being a guardian of Gaia. And this is back to what Patrick was saying about the pages being the masters, the pages being the royalty. Right here. Because remember, that was the switch that flipped with the divine royalty. Because see, the page actually has the page, when the king is standing as the king, does it still have the forthright, like, does it still have the aptitude to keep its kingdom? Because the page knows what it wants. The page has direction. So we can see the page, so to say, back to the kingdom. The king's already sitting. So can the king hold down the fort with the amount of aptitude and acceleration and focus that the page does? So it's almost like the little guys are being spoken up for now as being guardians. So yes, this could go into queen frequency too. Okay, we're speaking of king because king is at the end of the royals, right? In regards to tarot. So this could be a queen frequency. We don't want to fixate it onto masculine or feminine. They're both coexisting, but we're looking at that the page actually has a very important right to sing its song authentically because it has a connection to the song lines within Gaia. Those bring messages. Thank you. They do. And it's interesting because this isn't so much of a sword on this card. It looks more like a like just a blunt object, which means that it doesn't have the ability to cut, but it has the ability of power behind it, which could be seen as a lingam frequency. Yes, could be seen as a lingam frequency, but we're also seeing this as almost like a bat kind of a frequency, or a club. That's just the way the sword is perceiving to me. So it's still a truth, but it's like so it's almost a refinement energy, because it's almost got like a sword, which is sharp. It's cutting. The staff, right, that's round, it's gone through a process of purification, so it is smoother around the edges, but it still has the right to hold its truth as being a guardian of its own grid work. So if you have the right to be the guardian of your own grid work, how does that affect the song lines on Gaia? And how does your song affect others? But also, it's the right for you to be able to stand in your truth, because that's a part of the weaving. If we're taking multiple truths and we're weaving it together in the cosmic orchestration, your truth is a part of the whole. See, Knight of Pentacles and Death here. It's about being able to, oh man, it's about being able to also look at your own mortality. Because it was interesting, as I was pulling this, I said back to the necromancy frequency, which is the rise of the dead. You see how the flowers are rising within the cup? But this is also speaking of time here. Because you see how this is a time capsule? We're looking at time, so we're stepping into Saturnian frequency here. Even though death is Pluto, right? And we were talking about that Scorpio energy. We now have something dealing with time with a Knight of Pentacles here. And the energy of time is going back to Saturn, which is Kronos, which is what Rio was talking about, what Patty was talking about. So it's almost like the death of time. Time held within the body. Time DNA. So if our DNA is directly correlated to time, how can we overwrite time within our own DNA? It's a reduction of linearity going into the quantum body. The quantum body has an effect on the grids. So a linear grid structure will create a linear reality, and that affects the grids. If we're speaking of multidimensional Gaia, multidimensional DNA, which is free of time as a construct, is actually now, thank you, the death of time within our bodies, what creates a new grid structure that we are now. So then if we're speaking of the song lines, because the song lines, those ley lines, were always a part of time constructions as far as I'm aware of. So is this an upgrading of the song lines into that of the quantum, where we have no time now? And what is Saturn's effect on time within the body? Whoa, that just did a kickflip. Two of Swords. We're coming back to that X frequency. But we're now seeing a merger of the meridians. Okay, because remember how I was speaking of everything being cut into hemispheres? There's a merger that happens back into the body of the hemispheres. Just as we were speaking of the hemispheres of the brain coming together and then having meridians or hemispheres within the extensions of the body, there's a merger that's occurring here with the Two of Swords. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I'm being guided to go outside and connect to Mother Earth and see what her grids want to say. I just heard, Corey, you need to go outside. Go put your feet in Mother Earth and bring the energy back in. Because there's something happening outside with the grids today. So let's see what's going on. I will be right back. What? Corey's leaving? That's so unprofessional. You're a towel. Alright, I'll be back. So we're back. We're back with Pachamama. So there's a merger of the meridians that's occurring. A new song line, a new truth. But we have to make sure we're harmonizing at a new truth, that we don't have incongruent truths. Incongruent truths create cross purposes, which create canceled out realities, blocked access points. A yes and a no occurring in the one will create neutrality, evidently, but it also creates a stalemate. So we have to make sure we have to bring this 4 down to a 2 and the 2 down to a 1. You see, so the 4 merges, which creates, I got the power. 4 breaks down to a 2, but we need those 2 together to bring one singular form of truth. Now, thank you. So if we're bringing these truths that are incongruent are about to harmonize. What are they harmonizing to? Ain't that funny? Ain't that a silly little one showing up again, eh? Good night, Rio. We'll see you upstairs. So there's a new truth that's unlocking for us. And there is a highlight on the moon. So what is this singular truth that's arriving for us and aligning for us? 4 of Pentacles. It is Gaia. There we go. We have the 4 directions, and then we have the mandala, which to me is also speaking of the Andean cross in mystical shaman. So it is the medicine of the mother is a singular form of truth. So we're coming into, when we were looking at flower essences and plant life, it's us in Gaia. Once again, the Rainbow Bridge DNA, but we're looking at an Andean cross, so we're looking at shamanism. 4 Pentacles, 4 directions here. So we are very much so looking at a Gaian stabilization as being a singular form of truth. So then what is this? Because I mean, this singular form of truth is a Gaian truth. And if it's a Gaian truth, we have to eat Gaia, essentially. I'm going to go into mystical shaman. The sacrifice. There's something that we have to give up. 44. So we have a 444 frequency, so we're looking at the foundations. But the 44, that's a mastery key. There is a builder code coming. We're coming into 2022. I feel like 2/2/2022 is going to bring a code for us. There's something of the builder codes, because 2 22s merging, a 22 and a 22 is what creates a 44. So there's that 4 down to 2 down to 1. That singular form of truth being the 4 directions, the 4 cardinal points on the map, north, south, east, west. But we have 2 separate 4s that are meeting together. So we have 2 foundations that are coming together. The truth will flip things right side up, beware. It's a good thing, though. It's a good thing. So, and with the 44, we have the energy of fire here. We have the upside down triangle. So there's something below. Gaia's got something to that we have the energy of fire. But it's also asking us to go deeper. The triangle is taking us deeper, but it's deeper into our foundations, deeper into our root structure. Back to the reds here. We're coming back into our root. we're coming back into our own root structure, which would be our Yggdrasil tree in many ways. The blade. There's that singular form of truth, right? There's that 2, there's that 4 down to the 2 down to the 1. Right? That's the singular form of truth. So so once again, this truth, it belongs to Gaia. But this is the truth will set you free, which is a 6 frequency. Okay, so the blade right now is taking us to ancient Egypt. I let the blade take me there, and it's taking us to ancient Egypt. So what is in ancient Egypt for us to unveil and to uncover? We're going to ancient Egypt. What's in ancient Egypt that we need to reveal with us regarding the song grids? Six is Empress, and 6 being Empress is the universe being held within. That's the pomegranate, the fertility, which is Persephone. But since we're being taken to ancient Egypt, I wonder what's going on with ancient Egypt. What does ancient Egypt want to reveal to us? 7 of Cups. This is that explosion frequency. Okay. This is the light. Okay, so you see the cup of the soul light, and how it's kind of like pushing these cups away, which is back to the 7 of Swords frequency that Patrick was talking about. But this has that similar frequency, like it's a force field of light that is pushing these cups away. But these cups each have flowers. See, when I'm seeing ancient Egypt, I'm seeing the pyramids. I'm actually not seeing any gods or goddesses. You're right about Isis and Osiris. But it's taking me almost to an Akashic record hall. And I'm being shown like a pyramid, but there's a maze. It's like a labyrinth. Oh gosh. I'm going into ancient Egypt tonight. I thought I was done with ancient Egypt. Definitely not. So what is this truth that's coming through from ancient Egypt? Because it is an illumination point of something within our own lives. The ancient ones. Another 1 frequency. So it's the truth within our ancient DNA. This is a truth of our ancient DNA. And here we are. There's the Black Moon. There's Black Moon Lilith. There's Black Moon Lilith. But it's interesting. I'm being highlighted on the nose here in the ancient ones. And with the nose, we're speaking of breath. We're speaking of our airwaves. And it's almost like how there's a breathing technique that takes us deep into our own caves of creation within. Because I'm being shown that the sinuses are actually equivalent to the catacombs. And it's interesting because my sinuses were burning here. And so there is a connection with our sinuses to the catacombs and some sort of breath, the breath of life, which would be the nutrients of the nectar of the soul, which would make sense. But it seems like there's something with our sinuses and with the air, with our, the diaphragmatic breathing, which would bring us deeper into our root core, which would unveil more. So it's almost like breath work itself is going to unlock something within our ancient DNA and within ancient Egypt. The Rainmaker. The Rainmaker. There's that Dark Moon Lilith frequency now being guided above us. How does the rain and the breath coincide? Because now we're looking with air and water. Thank you. But the air and water frequency, 42, we're back to a 6. A 1-6, which makes 7, and the 7s have been popping up so much. 7 of Cups, 7 of Swords, 7th dimension. The 7s are bringing something. What are the 7s bringing? So the 7s sometimes are creating heaven on earth, because once again, heaven is a 3, 4 being the foundations. There's something that we're bringing from, with the breath, we're drawing something in. Our breath is drawing in a frequency from above. Because 4 being the basis of our reality, right? The foundations, the cardinal direction points. The 3 now taking me to Orion. So there is something with the breath and with Orion in ancient Egypt and the pyramids that unlocks ancient DNA within us. So breathing in Orion? This has to do with Orion, breathing Orion frequency, or breath and the Orion. So if we're working with Orion, we're looking at hunters, the hunter, which is the archer. So the archer itself was chasing the Pleiades. Orion chasing the Pleiades, which is coming back to the Seven Sisters, which ties into earlier. And I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit hole, but there's something with Orion there in the archer. And I'm hearing hunter-gatherers. Breath being life force. It's almost like it's got this energy of like being a breatharian, right? There's something about breath and plant. Of course, we know oxygen is what breathes life, but there's something more with this, with Orion. There's some sort of magical quality with Orion, and I want to stay on this thread with us breathing in Orion that's going to take us somewhere. And with the pyramids, which would make sense with the 4-3 frequency, because the 4-3 frequency is actually the foundations of the pyramid is the square, the 4. So the 4-3, which is the 7, has to tie into the pyramid's location in correlation with Orion. So what's going on with this Orion frequency in the breath? The heart of the sky and earth. It's the place where we draw upon the cosmos and we bring it down to earth. We, as breathing cosmic life force energy from the stars, from the heart of the sky, which would be the great central sun, and bringing that onto earth, we have 2417 here, which is a 6-8. That 6-8 frequency is what brings in the 14. Right? The heart of the sky and earth. They're working together, of course, as we know. But us as being the celestial beacons, right? The rise of this grid keeper is making sure that we're not only breathing the sky, but we're breathing the earth as well. So we're looking at how we're caring for the ozone layer. We're onto something if I'm itching my nose. We're looking at the ozone layer. I'm hearing it, yeah. Okay, breathing in dark matter. Everyone talks about light quotient, but dark matter is a part of the universal system. Dark matter creates density, which creates pressure, which brings things into form. So we have to see dark matter as also a part of creation and what's keeping us together. So there's something about breathing in dark matter. What is it in regards to breathing dark matter? What is this energy? It's breathing in a lunar frequency. Yeah. Hi, Cheney. So it's that Luna is a part of this signal. But there's a cap here. So you see how the mouse is covering the cup here? The cups can't fill up. The cups can't fill up in this way, in this manner. As a result, this frequency is what is bringing it's. If we block the moon, we actually don't get the nutrients for this rose to thrive. We're coming back to lunar. We're talking about the frequency of dark matter. It creates the weeping willow. It creates this weeping tendency, but this is a cycle of death and creation, because as this rose petal falls, it's like it comes back to the emotions that we don't want to feel. Because as every time it's like every time we cry, a star is born. Every tear that we shed births a new universe. But there's something too about when this petal falls, it goes to the soil and it goes through a composition or a decomposition process, which is a part of this. So essentially, we can't have dark without light, just as we can't have light without dark. But there's something of this capping frequency that's also holding this perspective in place. Four of Cups speaking of perspective. And I don't know, that just got off track. I don't know what happened there, but that just got really off track. Something got sidelined. And I feel like once we tapped into breathing in Orion, that took us somewhere else. Either that or there's something that doesn't like what I'm talking about. And that's okay. You don't have to like it. This isn't about agreeing. It's just about translating the information and being the oracle. So either way, something is blocking this information from coming online. And that's okay. You're loved and you're healed and you're enlightened and you're admired. But that just went into a whole nother direction. Either way, it's important for us to breathe the cosmos. Which is interesting because it ties into a breathwork thing that I just downloaded the other day, which I need to record still and bring online for us. So there is new abilities with us being able to breathe the cosmos that's feeding Earth as well. It's a part of our anchoring process, so we have to breathe the cosmos. So next time you're in breath, connect to the stars and breathe the stars in. Breathe the planets in as an energetic life force quality. Breath is an anchor point of energy, which is a part of our song lines, our internal song lines. So a part of this is because we were looking at the symbiosis of elements, right? So we're looking at air and earth. Because we were looking at fire and water for the phoenix, and now we're looking at air and earth have a symbiotic relationship now. So there is a symbiosis we found the symbiosis between fire and water with the phoenix, but we're also seeing one working with air and earth as a form of symbiosis in alchemy, which is natural. Which is really, 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 really natural. So now we're going to go into the symbiosis of air and earth. Because there is some sort of symbiotic relationship that's unlocking from air and earth. That is in regards to the song lines and the song that we produce within our grids. So what is this symbiotic relationship between air and earth? Let me just see what's going on right now. Yes, every living thing does breathe. So we're looking at air and earth working together in some form of symbiosis, which is creating It has to do with the body and the song lines. So we're going to unpack a little bit more. I just need to stretch for a little bit. Air and earth, air and earth, air and earth, air and earth. What's going on with air and earth right now? Ooh, air and earth, air and earth. What's going on with air and earth? Air and earth. We're gonna stick it here. We're gonna stick with this. I don't really have an air deck. I do have an earth deck, but I'm not feeling it right now. What's going on with this symbiotic relationship of air and earth right now? Air and earth. Yeah, but hearth would do with fire. So we were looking at the symbiotic relationship between fire and water. Hearth. So if fire was an elemental structure that was involved in it, it would create that. But hearth is fire, because the hearth is the warmth of the heart, which is the fire. So we're looking at air and earth. Fire isn't in the picture here. Both of them breathe life into the fire, but we're looking at the relationship between those two elements. This isn't a trinity yet. We're gonna get there, though. We're gonna get there, because once again, we're looking at the alchemical composition and what it creates for ourselves. And it might be something that we need to meditate on as well, is what that symbiotic relationship is for us in the form in regards to song. Because it has to do with the grids here. Oh, it's snowing. That's beautiful, yay! So what's the symbiosis of air and earth here? Oh, the stone. Which is, once again, here's another alchemy. Another alchemy. Yes, but we're also, right now, it's the way that, if you've been here for the reading, I was talking about, those are the two elements that came up in the last creation. And I'm not going to start throwing it in because I'm following this thread is why. So yes, all elements are apart, but what we were talking about the symbiotic relationship between elements that would normally cancel each other out. So fire and water normally don't work together, but they did in the form of the new Phoenix energy. And so if you want to go back a ways, we talk about what the new Phoenix was with the water-fire symbiosis. Now, air and earth are elements that do work together, but we're not including this in this right now. This is not a co-creative tale of all the elements. This is the symbiotic relationship and what it's doing in regards to the body. Because we're following this narrative right now, or the thread. So I got to stay on track. So I'm not trying to be rude, but I want to make sure I stay on this thread and I don't have anything else that's pulling me into another direction. Because it can create a frenzy. We're very much so on target right now with some really cool stuff that's unlocking with Orion. Air and earth. So we were looking at the stone. The stone. 199. Air and earth. 199. There's not going to be timestamps on this either. I didn't do timestamps, I just went live. The stone, the eternal, the anchor, the rock. As an archetypal object, the stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is one of permanence, concreteness, and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us, as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans. A single stone may see thousands of generations come and go, therefore it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side, so no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. When this card appears, it is likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. So we're looking at breath as the stabilization point. Not as the breath of life, but it's the anchor. So air and earth are working as anchors to keep us here, which is the dark matter which is creating the gravity. So air and earth working together are creating that pressure that keeps us here, essentially. So we're looking at a permanent seat for us belonging to, because with the song grids, if the stone is permanent, air and earth are the energies of air and earth in an elemental form are helping us to create a permanent creation of our song lines, which is pretty cool. But we're also looking at there's the 4-3 frequency, that's the 7. Here's the world with the 4 foundations surrounded by the heavens. Right? So here's that pyramid. We're going deep within again. Because remember I was saying I was seeing the pyramid? Well, what I was shown was a pyramid with a square right here, but there was a maze. So we're very much so zeroing in on almost like our carbon footprint a little bit. And that would make sense why air and earth, why we were talking about cleaning up our air, because it is about our carbon footprint and that we leave on this world. It creates a lasting effect for generations to come. So our air quality also affects our sound. Air quality affecting our sound also is affecting our ability to move objects through sound. Okay? Because yes, we can levitate and move objects through sound. We can heal through sound. So actually, air quality itself. So like if there's density of molecular structure within air, it is also going to affect our song, which affects our ability to be able to move the immovable through song. So imagine us being able to hit an air quality where we're singing and we're able to levitate objects with song, with voice, with tone. I mean, there's ancient tribes that can heal through song. So it's us being able to actually defy logic and reasoning through our own song. Like, so yeah, there's a symbolic nature to it, but there's actually a truth with this, because we were speaking of Orion here. And it's that our air quality actually matters, because the more carbon production that we're putting in the skies, okay, let's just run with this. I don't know if this is a truth, this is just what's coming forward right now from deep within me, is our air quality, right? And the amount of time that we have in the air actually has an effect in us being able to almost move mountains with our breath. We're looking at a superpower here with song. We're looking at the ability to literally chant and move objects. And the reason that we might not be able to is because of our air quality. Because there's too much toxicity in the air. And as a result, that's having an effect on our sound waves, which is having an effect on our vessel. And our vessel might not be able to be, I feel like our vessel can't produce the same song like it once could because of air quality, because of oxygen. But once again, is it that we're creating this because of a harmonization of the new neural pathways that we're opening up? Or is this something that's always existed within us? More to be revealed. The stone and the cave and the orphan. There is something that's been lost that's being returned to us right now, but we have to go within to return that. And it's found within the breath of life. The cave is our own caves of creation, which would be our own temple, our own tomb. We have to go into our own tomb to gift ourselves some freedom. So air and earth are not only working with us to be able to produce this sound alchemy, but there's something that's occurring with our own inner child, or pieces of us that have been abandoned through time, that have been lost in space. And with the cave, there's the watcher. You see the eyes peering through the darkness? There's that cosmic watcher, which is the owl frequency. It's almost like that multi-dimensional version of ourselves peering beyond the veil, but we can't quite see it yet because the eyes are still a little darkened. It doesn't quite want to be revealed yet, whatever this is. This version of ourselves has been abandoned for a really long time. It's the orphan. It's been left behind. And what's really fascinating is you see the flower here? I literally, just before I came live, found this flower outside next to where I read outside. And I was like, that's interesting that this is sitting there. Why is it sitting there? And so we're looking at orchid. We're coming back to the essence of the flower. And this, whatever this version of us, whatever this multidimensional creation, this watcher is, it's not quite ready to reveal itself because of what's occurred over time. We've abandoned this version of ourselves. And it's ancient and it's eternal. And as a result, right now, we're reaching out for it as a collective of humanity. And the snake is guarding it. We're calling it forward. But it's been so long since we've connected with this that we have to connect with it with breath of life. Air and earth. This is also air epoch energy, right? So if we're looking at air epoch, which is the age of Aquarius, connecting, grounding into Gaia, it's something that has been so... I don't even know how long it's been since we've connected to this version of ourselves, but it's awakening within us. It's awakening our dormancy into a place of knowing. So it does appear that there is more that's going to be unlocked from this breath of life frequency and this air and earth merger. The symbiosis of air and earth is that right now the air epoch with earth, or air and earth as two elements right now, are creating a lasting effect on society. It's creating a permanent home for us here. And a home that we haven't seen in a really long time. Or that we've ever seen. There's that 32 frequency. Remember from Patrick's reading earlier, the 32 frequency? The 32 and a 5. We have two 5s here. So we're looking at all of the elements coming together. Because if we have the four elements, water, air, earth, fire, we're now in the ethers now. So there's an etheric component that we haven't been able to navigate yet. So there is something etherically that we still have yet to connect to. And I feel like it's being guarded right now. You see this snake here? I feel like the snake is a gatekeeper, and we're not meant to go past there because we might not be trusted with this information yet. It almost feels like the snake is saying, this is a very protected place. And it could belong to something with our child. But it has to do with our alchemy, and it has to do with this air and earth frequency. And the snake is kind of giving me like this is a zone that some can't cross. Thank you, our internet. Thank you, yes. But the snake itself, it's coiled. And see, the snake hasn't reached the completion yet, because once again, these two ends haven't met. The snake hasn't been... The cycles of creation, right? Like, so when we see the lizard in the... Because Corey's been doing a little bit of this research on his free time. So when we look the lizard or the salamander on the cloak of the Knight of Wands, okay, and the Page of Wands, some of most of them, let me see if I can find it and I'll show it to you guys, and then we'll go into unlocking what this means, because it's a cycle that hasn't reached a completion yet. We're not there yet, or I'm not there. It feels like collective of humanity is not there yet. We haven't reached the world card. Come on, where are you, Knight of Wands? Show yourself. No. Okay, so I can show you in the King of Wands. You see in the King of Wands that the lizard is eating its own, as my dirty fingernails are showing up right now? You see how the lizard is eating its own tail? That's this completion of cycles. So a part of this is that in the Page of Wands and in the Knight of Wands, some of the lizards aren't eating their own tail because they haven't reached a completion yet to close that cycle. So the snake itself is saying we haven't reached a completion yet. There's something still left to untangle from our own lives, because we have to create, we have to begin, we have to reach that completion before, once again, the world, before we unlock that key. So there is something with the breath. Okay, here it is. Knight of Wands. So you see how some of the lizards aren't eating their own tail? It's because the knight is still in transition to become the king. So in the page to the page to the knight to the queen to the king, the knight still has yet to reach this completion because it's still going through a maturation phase. So what happens is this lizard needs to reach this completion. This snake wants us to reach this completion. Air and earth, air and earth, air and earth. Interesting. See, the thing is that what came through is the number 10, grays, the tall grays. Utilitarian, organized, and intimidating. It almost feels like it's a frequency where we can't quite go there yet. Because it's still, it's almost like for some of us, it might be a place that a lot of people don't want to go to yet, or the collective's not ready to go to yet. There is a little bit of don't go here, a little bit of a protective force, especially with the organized and intimidating energy. There's a little bit of, we have to stand off, because what we might find out, we might not, it might not feel really good to us. It's a part of a lot of deception that's occurred in the lines, especially the song lines. It feels like something that some are just not ready for. Now the question is, are we ready for it? Are we, or is it that I'm not ready for it? Because there is a little bit of this resistance here. Like, there's a little bit of, you're not supposed to go any further right now. Also, too, that could be speaking about societal orders and how they don't want us to go there. See how my nose is itching again? It's almost like there are versions of us that still exist that don't want us to go there, because we're meant to reach this completion so we can unlock it. Merkaba. Movements, long distance travel, excitement. There's to the meridians and the grids, but it has to do with the breath and the Merkaba. It has to do with how we're traveling through the dimensions. Didn't someone say tetrahedron earlier? Because we're now working with sacred geometry. Or was it dodecahedron? So I think it was Holly said tetrahedron earlier. So we are looking at how the breath in the Merkaba affects the movement. We're looking at teleportation almost. We're looking at being granted access through a gate. As that just clicked, and here's 33. There is a mastery key here. But interesting how it says long distance travel here. And excitement. It's almost like our breath can move us further than we might realize. Our breath can take us further than we might realize. Air and earth, there's something about the quality of air and earth that's bringing in the Merkaba for us too. What is this Merkaba frequency? 7 of Cups, 4 of Pentacles. Isn't that, these are the exact 2 cards that were showing up in one of the earlier readings. We're looking at levitation. Remember the light? Remember how I was saying the light is moving these cups upward? And the 4 of Pentacles, there's this energy of us being able to not only move laterally or vertically, but also horizontally. This is very third dimensional. This is over the top. Like, this feels like we're looking down at the pyramid right now. And there's something on each corner of the pyramid here that's unlocking for us. This might even be below the pyramids. We might actually be coming across, there might be something in the tombs and in the catacombs that's going to be revealed to us regarding our abilities to be able to levitate objects with just using our breath and sound. With the cave, it would make sense why this is underneath the catacombs. This actually, especially since this is more of like a Mayan thing, it's got more of a Mayan energy. This might actually have something to do with the Mayan pyramids, which would be Chichen Itza. That there's something held within beneath the pyramids that's some sort of ancient technology that allows us to be able to levitate objects with just through breath and song. But since we are in Air Epoch and since we are in Revelation, that's going to help us. But tying back into this frequency, no, Kante Garu, out of here. All right? Is that what it has to do with the Iseer energy? Is the Iseer energy was regarding the harmonization, right, of the hemispheres of the brain and how that connects to the body. So I feel like for us to unlock this, there is some sort of balance because once again, here's the hemispheres, right? The split, bringing everything in. The meridians of the arms and the legs. There is something with the breath and harmonizing with the breath, with Orion, with the ancient Egyptian frequencies that's going to unlock within us a new song. But it is going to be a tower moment for us. It's going to be a tower moment when we connect to that energy. So it feels like it's going to require breath work with the Orions to unlock the Six of Cups. It feels like a transition point into what this truth is. Because here we have that flower. You see how the Six Cups are guarding this? It's like it's a portal. It's a portal, but this is also Tree of Sephiroth kind of energy. I'm getting a Tree of Life energy from this, which is normally 10 of Pentacles. But there is this energy of the harmonization, the balance of mind, body, soul. There is something that's unveiling from this, though. And the 6 is actually the Merkaba. 6 points of the Merkaba. 6 of Cups. You see how this, you see how these are very relatable frequencies here? Okay. So we're looking now at the water element coming in with our Merkaba as well. It's almost like we rebuild our Merkaba through a connection point with these cups. Each cup fills in a gap of point to rebuild our Merkaba. So then what is this watery energy that we need to work with to stabilize our Merkaba through breath? Page of Wands. We just hit another key code for the song. There's another gatekeeper right now. There's another gatekeeper that's coming online for these song lines. It's an initiation though. And that's, I feel like, what's going through, because I am a Leo, it's like, this is the initiation. You got to go into the sacred. This is something that you find alone. This is not found in public. This is something you find alone. 5 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles. There's some stuff we have to take down off of our own Yggdrasil tree, and we have to weave together. There's some sort of polarity that needs to come. So if you see all these pentacles are sitting on a tree, we have to go into our own Yggdrasil tree. Each of us have to go into our own Yggdrasil tree and pull down what this is, and we have to polarize and bring it into balance. We have to weave it together into creation, but we do this alone. So we're going to stop it there, because I feel like that's the farthest we're going to get. Also, I'm getting tired too. So. Yeah, there is. I don't know if we can breathe in. I don't know if we can breathe in space because I haven't been up in space. Because once again, that's another construct. Think about the Wright brothers when they flew. No one believed they could fly. Now the question is for the Wright brothers is, did the collective, because was there a collective agreement that we would have that miracle so we can witness some sort of magic and mastery in our own lives so we could evolve as humanity? Because if two or more brothers, if two or, you know, a family, however, came together and created flight with the airplane, right? Was that already like, because normally if we look at the collective belief system, I would perceive that the collective would need to believe in flight for flight to actually be created. But if there was two or more people, how did that override the collective's stance on being able to create the airplane? Or did it already exist in the collective field and collective of humanity hadn't reached that point of being able to bring that in? But it took two people to draw in that information and to download it to bring it forward. So flight could occur within physics because it was already written within that we could bring this stuff forward. But like, let's think about that one. Is that even with this energy, do we need the entire collective to believe this for us to bring the energy forward? Or is there enough of us that are tapped in deep enough that one or more people, three, or a group could bring this energy in and it could actually shift out the collective energy, right? Because it's basically, it's almost like it exists in a part of the collective consciousness that we can't quite tap into because there's a gate there. So we're looking at a room that's got a gate, and that room, we have to pass through that gatekeeper to get into that room to access that wisdom, but we all have to do it by ourselves, right? So whew. A lot to unveil. A lot to unveil. Thank you. It's like the 4-minute mile. Yeah, only takes a brave soul to try it. Exactly. And we're going to go there. We're going to go there. But it's interesting because this truth about the sound, even though it's within, it feels like it's a cosmic thing. It feels like an Orion download. It feels like it's starborn. It doesn't feel like it's earthbound. Which makes sense because it means that we're working with ancient future technology. Does that make sense? So like, I don't feel like we need to go into those dark catacombs to unveil this. It feels like it's a star code thing. But either way, really cool little message. So we're gonna just do, I'm gonna just do, because I feel like it, because I'm still up, we're just gonna do a little collective spread right now. Because Father Time, Kronos, you bastard. Just kidding, I love you, Kronos. Freaking Titan. No, we're gonna learn more about Saturn. There's been a lot, I feel it coming up that we're gonna find out some more cool stuff about Saturn. I feel like that's gonna be next to unlock. Just have a sense. Alright, so we're gonna do one more little pull. Who knows, maybe this might shoot me up a few hundred degrees north and then we're going all night. Oh, Christy's still here. Hi, Christy. Alright, so we're gonna go into just a quick little collective crystalline cross for the collective. Do the shoulder roll. Yeah. King of Wands. King of Wands, Hangman. Yeah, when it comes to this mastery that you're unlocking, right now the thing is getting in the way is having to go out in nature and isolate. Which is interesting, because normally with the Hangman energy, that's an important part of this kind of magic coming online, but with King of Wands, The Hangman is having an effect. Yeah, Foundation, Two of Cups. It really is about love. It's about balancing the masculine and feminine, but about coming to peace. So right now, the reason why you might perceive that this isolative frequency is getting in the way is because you're finding a new harmonization point with yourself. Isolation is occurring so you can find deeper love within. It's not about a partner. It's about you becoming that equal partner to yourself. There's something coming into balance in your own life. Three of Pentacles and Death. You're transforming your own partnership with yourself. You're transforming your own trinity. You're going through a rebirth right now. That's why you need to be in this. This is why you're like, there is a perception that you're magic, that you're not having access to your magic because you're alone, which is actually completely the opposite. You're being asked to deepen your self-love because there's a transformation of your own trinity powers that is coming online. Knight of Cups, Four of Cups. So you're coming from a place of deep love. The Knight becoming the King of Wands is this young love has gone through a maturation into its magic. Now it's alone and it wants to be shared. But you're coming into a perception shift with Four of Cups. You're not seeing the gifts, but you are now. That's the perception shift, is you're going to see this gift. It's your sight is transforming. Your womb is transforming. Your life is transforming. For some of you, your contracts are transforming, and you're getting a perspective shift. You're allowing new foundations to accrue at an emotional level because you're finding what the self-love is. Now, it might feel weird because, once again, you're in the Hangman frequency. I've got this love, why can't I share it? Because you got to go deeper in this self-love. It's like trying to take the bread out of the oven and share it with the world, and you still got 20 minutes left on the clock. Like, the dinner's not done yet. Because you got to sit with self and find peace. It really is about you finding peace with yourself. That's an ignition point for a new reality for you, is a deepening of self-love. Queen of Pentacles. This is how you stabilize in your kingdom. Or queendom with Mother Earth. You rising into your divine royalty requires you to be in a deepened sense of self-love, but you got to be at mastery of the masculine and feminine as well. The bunny right there. We're looking at fertility. Hi, Willow. I know it's super late. Willow's like, are you night owling it right now? Yeah, I'm night owling it. The isolated frequency is occurring because you have to deepen with your self-love. If you want your divine royalty, you have to shift your perspective on love of yourself. Knight of Cups. Okay. Hi, Willow. Dude, yeah, we're night owling. Is it really 3:12 right now, my time? Oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. Oh my gosh. Gosh darn it. But now that Willow's here, I have to keep going. Willow's my sign to just keep swimming. Oh my gosh, Peter's here too? What are you guys doing up so early? Wait, what am I doing up? Am I up early or am I up late? Since Willow's here, I have to pull from the Mystic Martian. Willow, you're getting a reading right now. Yep. I'm awake. The choir is coming together. And Willow, I was actually just unlocking some of the songline stuff. The Guardian of the Song. Guardians of the Song. Alright. So this is a message for Willow, but if it's collective, let's call in the collective energy too. Willow, Andromedans. Autonomy, free will, manifestation. So the Andromedans are coming through with a message for Willow, which makes sense because A lot of us serve with Andromeda. It has to do with your ability to create. And there's the Merkaba again. So it is about it for you. It is about some sort of energetic. Oh, thank you, Holly. I do need a sip of water. Holly's like, Corey, you need to drink some water. Do I have water available? I do. Yeah, I need to ground out my energy too. Oh my gosh, Willow found the lightning wood. I'm gonna talk about that. Actually, okay, you guys hold tight. Willow, I'm gonna come in and talk about the lightning wood with people. The download that I got. I'm gonna go ground and balance. I'll be right back, guys, because I want to keep going now. Now that other people showed up, I was like, I'm going to bed. Nope, we're gonna keep going. No. I can't stop. Q radio DJ. We'll be back. We'll be back shortly. Something like that. We'll be back shortly. And of course, Mama comes in right now, start talking to me, so I'll be right back, guys. What's up, people? Yo. Yeah, someone's not happy that I'm talking about this stuff right now. They're trying to like push me offline. So whatever we hit a key code. Okay, so the lightning wood. There was a download that came in regarding lightning wood, and that basically there's something energetically for us with the magics in regards to finding a tree that's been struck by lightning and carving that wood into a wand and using it, because there's something about the power of the elements that really is going to come through and activate something within our DNA. I'm not entirely sure what it is yet, but there's been there's something that's been activated from lumber and trees. Okay. Thank you. Everyone's like, I'm getting talked to right now about taking care of myself. we're gonna just move this right here. So we were on Andromeda for Willow. Andromeda. Message coming through for Willow from Andromeda, for the collective from Andromeda. What is it from Andromeda? There's a message from Andromeda. Here's a message from Andromeda. There's a message from Andromeda. Here's a message from Andromeda. Has to do with the center of the galaxy. I'm being drawn to the Milky Way. So it has to do with the center of the galaxy. For some of you, you need to return to Central Command immediately. Return to Central Command immediately. Return to Central Command immediately. Yes, Captain. Going through for Andromeda. For Willow and the collective. Oh gosh. That's a lot. Woo. Page of Cups. It's about being a keeper of love. You're being the gatekeeper of love right now. Gatekeeper of love. 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups. The journey itself is getting away, or a transition or movement is getting in the way of you being this keeper of love. The moon at the foundation. There is something that's being revealed to you right now. There is something that's being revealed to you in regards to being this keeper of love in your reality and the journey of love. The world, you are reaching some sort of completion in your life right now. There is a journey of love that you want to undertake, but right now there is something being revealed at the foundation level. Focus on the lunar frequency, because Luna itself, that's probably why a lot of us have been up lately and been night owls, is Luna itself is bringing through a lot. You're reaching some sort of completion in regards to love. Luna itself is bringing in a loving frequency for ourselves. 3 of Pentacles, co-creation into the Queen of Wands. Yeah, you're coming into another level of magic. There was some sort of co-creation. It's like your triple goddess is merging to open up a new level of magic. And it's a loving magic. It's almost like you had to go dark a little bit to retrieve this, and now you're coming back into the light. The journey of love will open up to you because you're about to reach this completion. But right now you might be in this shadowy or the Luna frequency because it is bringing in some sort of merger that's bringing back your Earth goddess. So you almost had to go into the triple Luna goddess or into this trinitization of these goddess figures, right? Like Aphrodite, Artemis, Nike, to bring this lunar frequency up, but you are coming back into a place of your beautiful magic. You are reaching a completion. So don't worry about this journey because the journey of love is going to open up, but you need this magic first. You need this Queen of Wands. You're getting back this is almost like getting back the lightning wood, right? So there's the tree, and now she's holding the tree. But what's cool is what's cool about this is that the tree, this is a natural process. This wood it's a natural, it's like humans itself didn't cut down the tree to produce this. Right? For you, Willow, you need to get a staff. You need to get a staff as well. Get a staff. There's going to be a branch that you're going to find. You need your staff. It's important. Especially with Page of Cups being the gatekeeper, the grid keeper of love here. It's important for you to have your staff. It's almost got a druidic feel. Whatever it is, it's unlocking for you right now, so trust it. And that's coming from the Andromedans. It has to do with creation and manifestation, by the way. It has to do with creation and manifestation. Nice. You had chocolate tonight. Call in Mr. Chocolate Pockets.
Oh, my lucky stars. Hi.
Dude, chocolate portals are the best. Trina knows about the chocolate portals.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna do a message for the Guardian of the Songs next.
Where was that?
Guardians of the Song. Guardians of the Song. Yeah, like Gandalf. Hi, Trina. What's everyone doing awake? Yo, are we all just riding the cosmic waves of Luna right now? Mine was actually the cosmic waves of Patrick. I've almost been live for 3 hours. This is quite silly. This is quite silly. The Jolly Green Giant is online too? Uh-oh. 13 in the house, good number. Because we're riding Luna here. What do the Guardians of the Song need to know? Messages for the Guardians of the Song. The king is dead, by the way. I'm hearing the song King is Dead by Kendrick Lamar. I don't know. You're not a gang member, you're a tourist. I'll be backing out. I'll be backing out. Woo! Dude. 2 people left there when I said that. Nice. Alright. Guardians of the Song. What wants to come through for the Guardians of the Song? Guardians of the Song. What message wants to come through for the Guardians of the Song? Ace of Swords. There is a truth that's unlocking for you. So the truth shall set you free. There is a new timeline, but there is some sort of illusion that's getting in the way. 7 of Cups. Maybe too many choices. The Chariot. We are in energetic movement, guys. There's the Merkaba. We are in movement. We are in transition. We are shifting. We're in alignment. We're on the journey. So we are in some energetic movement into this new truth. Into this new clarity. Alright? Yeah. Things are being brought into balance. There's some sort of karmic justice that's occurring right now in regards to the 8 of Swords. So there is freedom. This feels like a very transformative energy. So they want to let us know that right now, if you're feeling stuck, guys, it is about there is something coming into balance. The scales are being tipped right now. And there is motion. There is motion. The swords feel protective. They don't feel like a cell wall or anything. Yeah. There is some sort of completion that occurred in our lives. Okay? There is some sort of completion that's occurred. There is a cycle that was wrapped up. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. Now we're moving into that Dharma. So the wheel is moving in our favor. A lot of energy of motion. So once again, there is some sort of perception or illusion that's still getting in the way of this new truth. But right now it's being brought into balance. We are in motion. We did reach a completion. And now the Dharmic wheel is turning into our favor. The wheel is turning in our favor. Okay, guys? So to the Guardians of the Song, you know who you are. This new timeline is opening up. Some things are coming into balance right now. Some things are coming into balance. Luna just moved into Sag. Solar return for Sagittarius, the 9th house, house of enlightenment, and the guru, the father. Luna's in Sag. Same with Jupiter and Pisces. I haven't done the Jupiter and Pisces thing. Maybe we should do... Well, we did some Luna frequencies. I feel like doing 1 or 2 more readings. I don't know. I just want to keep going. The only reason I want to keep going is because there's people getting mad about me doing lives right now. Am I defiant or am I dumb? I'm a silly kid. And I love everybody. So let's see, Luna and Sagittarius. Sandura. Sa Nyunganudu. Courage, guys. Courage or stupidity? That is the question. Whether 'tis noble and the mind and the body just suffer from light outrageous fortune. Who shall know? Corey, have you had too much caffeine today? Nope. 11/11. 9/11. There's Archangel Michael coming through. Hi. How are you? Good. Nice. 8/11. Just dropping like flies. Luna and Sag. What wants to come through for Luna and Sag? Luna and Sag. Interesting. Got Leo 5 of Wands. So there is some sort of clashing that's occurring right now. There's an embodiment of strength, but there is some sort of clash. Which would make sense. Didn't I just say that I'm disagreeing with people right now? I have a feeling this is just a personal reading and I'm going to drop the cards now. I think that's my sign of being done. Because literally I was trying to read about Luna. But maybe that's the frequency that Luna and Sag is a little bit defiant. Maybe Luna and Sag is bringing up some sort of freedom and an empowerment frequency. And the thing the thing right now is our power is coming on. We're building strength and resilience, but it's a peaceful strength. But as a result, there's still a competitive frequency in the lines right now. There's still a little bit of that, like, a little bit chaotic, a little bit clashing. Yeah, Saggy does feel like freedom, but also, too, is sometimes it's the resistance that brings up the ability to push through to ignite the freedom. Freedom's not always gifted. So freedom's gifted to us, but we have to act on the freedom. So a part of this Luna and Sag frequency is it is gifting us freedom and embodiment of peace, but we have to move through the resistance of that, right? So the gift is given to us, but we have to respond to the gift. It's the embodiment of that. So if you know you're free, are you walking as free? Because a part of the embodiment of that wisdom is taking that knowledge, harmonizing, and then acting upon that knowledge. So Luna and Sag kind of coming through with a little bit of like there's an empowerment, but it's the ability to push through the resistance right now. It's the courage. Yeah. Exactly. Six of Swords. Yeah, there is a transformation that's occurring. There is a journey of transformation. We are... Dude, okay. Here's the thing. We're back at the same frequency. And I did shuffle the cards a few times. 8 of Wands and the Justice in the same part of the reading that was coming for the Guardians of the Song. There is something that's transitioning for us. There is some sort of karma that's shifting. And we are in a journey. So we are in an energetic movement or momentum. We're in a migration here. So as Luna is, so this is telling us that Luna is moving and it's helping to free up some sort of lines for us. It's bringing something into balance. That's too many cards. Come on now, we're doing a crystal cross. Past. What's going on in the past? That's way too many cards. Luna and Sag. What's coming through for Luna and Sag? Yeah, 10 of Pentacles. So we're coming from a place of completion. We're coming from a place of completion in regards to Earth. Matters of Earth. But we're also looking, that's the Yggdrasil tree, that's the Akash. There is something that unlocked within us, within our DNA. What's moving in to the future? Future realities. 5 of Cups, Temperance, 3 of Pentacles. So there is a perspective shift. There is an opening. Temperance, of course, being that balance point. There is something that's coming into balance in our own lives in regards to our own womb, into our own work. We're moving into a perspective shift. There's a little bit of that upside down frequency. Yeah, we're crossing over into higher territory right now. We're moving into higher ground. With 4 of Swords, 7 of Wands, we're moving to a place of peace. This transition point is into a place of peace. But it requires us to be still with our magic and to allow this perspective to shift naturally. That's what Luna itself is bringing, a transition point, a shift in perspective. We just need to honor it. Yeah. There is a perspective shift. So it really is about taking a moment to go into your own spiritual window, to be able to review how you can bring balance into your own life as well. And it's like we have to balance with the garden of our own soul. We have to balance our own masculine, feminine. We have to balance our own mother, father, child. And that's a part of the journey. But this is an organic movement. I feel like this is an organic movement that's found with peace, and the peace moves us to the higher ground. That's how we seek balance in this. But we don't seek balance. Balance is being returned to us. It's being restored. But we have to gift ourselves the opportunity to come to peace. So anywhere we find conflict, we can either push through it or just come from a place of peace. Because there was something that unlocked within us. Something got activated within us. And as a result, once that comes online, we start shifting out all the pathways in accordance to that. We can think of every sword here as a pathway that's blocking us from our true flight and our true knowing. That's being brought into balance right now. This is a journey of transformation. We're being reminded about the journey of transformation, and we have to find peace and stillness within that to be able to transcend this. Yeah. Yeah. And there's Luna right there reminding us too that Luna's guiding us right now, because there's that upward trajectory of the thread that's it's like the sailboat is being directed by Luna right now. And we just got to follow and trust Luna. Luna's helping us to bring balance into this. Luna's helping to bring balance. Yeah, see, Luna's taking us home. Luna's taking us into our home frequency right now. So Luna in Sag is taking us into a frequency of home or into a place of union. It's taking us into that 1111, which is that newness. So we have to trust where Luna is guiding us. So here's what I want to state, guys. When Luna's in Sag, if you are feeling empowered by the lunar frequencies, go with the flow and be at peace with the momentum that you're going through. Because it is a higher narrative. It's like when it activates within you, wherever Luna takes you, let Luna take you. Because it's an important part of what's unlocking within us. It's a part of our transformation. It's a part of this migration shift. It's a part of our journey right now, is to embrace Luna fully. Because once again, with strength, we're looking at Sun, we're looking at Leo, we're looking at the Sun. So Luna is bringing in the Sun for us. But there's been conflicts between the Sun and the Moon. Okay, we were just at the beginning of this reading, we're kind of coming full circle. There's been conflict between the Sun and the Moon. And right now, Luna is guiding some of us, if not all of us, you know, at some level, it is guiding the ship right now. And we have to allow it because it's taken us home. It's taken us into a 4 of Wands frequency, which is still a solar frequency. It's still a frequency of light. But it's the light of the moon is what's lighting the way. The moon is bringing us back to the sun, but it's union, back to justice. That's the balance point. Right? Something unlocked. This Lunar 13 code unlocked within us. When the Lunar 13 code unlocked within us recently, with the eclipse seasons, all the passageways, the tunnels, it's like Luna's steering the ship right now, and it's guiding us home. that might be why there's resistance too. Is there's a lot of people that don't like being up late at night because they haven't learned how to honor flow. But this is a directive current that we're following. It's a directive movement that is shifting us out of this place of being stuck. It's bringing a balance point. It is bringing in a balance point. It's bringing peace. It's bringing a higher narrative. It's bringing a shift for us. So we kind of have to trust where Luna's taking us right now. Yeah. Once again, Chariot, there's the momentum. But it is movement by sunlight. Because you see, the motion of the elephant here, this is Ganesha frequency. Luna is carrying us into the frequency of Ganesha. Which Ganesha usually speaks of prosperity and abundance. But it is, can we see that the moon is helping us to travel by sunlight or daylight? The frequency of the solar frequency. Luna has a part in the solar frequency. The only way, okay guys, the only way Luna is illuminated in the night sky is from the sun. So why do we fear the moon when the only reason we see the moon is because of the sun? Right? So they aren't working in opposition one to another. They're working symbiotically again. Back to the symbiosis. 13-13 right here. 13 people in the room, 13 likes. Now it's 12-13. We're still, that was funny. I'm like 13-13. Just went one down. So the light of the sun is carrying the luminescence of the moon. So can we see that we are moving through daylight with the lunar frequencies? Right? See, there's the Six of Swords that just bounced out again. We are in a process of transition. We are in a journey. And the sun is carrying that journey forward. Four of Pentacles. Yeah, it's a part of the new foundations that we're building for ourselves. Back to that tone again. That's that root. That's the root of the knowing coming back again. This is that there's downloads that is coming from Luna right now for us that's in regards to victory and triumph and celebration. Now the cards are starting to get repetitious, so I'm going to be done there. Because these cards are saying the same story over and over again. And that's when I say it's time to sign off. If we're getting cyclical and we're looping and I'm clearing the deck, it's just time to go. Alright, I love you guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being your love. Don't worry, we'll climb out of the rabbit hole. It's not really a rabbit hole, I'll tell you that much. Not really a rabbit hole. Not really a rabbit hole. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it started to get cyclical, and I was like, nah, if we're looping that much, if the cards are talking that much, we're talking about the same thing over and over again. Love you all. Thank you. Remember to command your sovereignty across all time, space, time, across all dimensions, seen and unseen, right? Remember that you have the right to stand in your sovereign power of knowing that you are the light and you are allowed to be by the light, with the light, as light now. And that means all parts of you. As you're calling back your power from this reading and from all readings across all time, space, time, across all dimensions, seen and unseen, I invite you to come back to a place of love and harmony within your own heart, within your own soul, within your own body. I thank you for being here. I send you the best wishes. I send you wellness, respect, love, free of obligation. I remind you of your autonomy, your sovereignty, and your return to neutrality and the return to peace within you. I bless you. I thank you. I love you. I pray for your enlightenment. I pray for strength on your journey, as well as I pray for your love and your laughter and your joy, and that you may find this peace today. All right. Stay soft, stay loving, stay kind, stay beautiful. Make sure to reclaim your power, reclaim your love, reclaim your light, reclaim your light body. All right. I bless you. I honor you. I sense that you're getting tired too, just as I am, or you're just waking up. And with that, I will see you soon. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.